self-belief that at some point in the future, this will work out. And so that's my encouragement, to just keep writing and to just not stop.
Starting switch on, light on.
Pressing command for internal. Expectedly back, TNW. Fuel tank pressure 60 on 55. Your nav state with back and is perfect.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Climate change has become one of the hottest subjects of global discourse, with over 100 heads of states and governments gathering in Egypt in November of 2022 for COP27 to discuss an urgent way forward. To discuss climate change and the benefits of gardening, nature in general, I have Mr. Olushola Adekoya. He is the MD of Shodex Beautification Landmark, a naturalist. He is an environmentalist and a humanitarian. Welcome to One on One. What should we know about climate change today, and what should we be doing about it as a people in this part of the world?
Climate change is a change in weather, and as such, it is induced and influenced by human factor. Human activities induce climate change. And when you say climate change, most of the things that we are experiencing now rainfall, erosion, and whatever is a sign of climate change, and it's increasing day by day. And what is being discussed at the COP or every year is the lifestyle of human being, how what we do, what we use, how we go about technology, that yes, the way we do things has to be changed so that it will not continue to induce or influence the climate. So naturally, and also to combat climate change, everybody is advised, including organization, government, to go green. You go green, you minimize all the things that you use that can affect or instigate the climate. So, and one of them is, take for instance, technology. We have so many vehicles around, so that the plants make use of. But nevertheless, the activities of human bringing a disaster, different kind of disaster, into the world. So if we don't act fast and do something about it, it will continue. We continue to experience some of things that is unexpected, like flooding, like increase in temperature, like hot weather, harmattan, excessive harmattan, or lack of harmattan.
What are some of the best ways to prevent green gas houses from polluting the atmosphere?
Number one, like I rightly said, is the activities of human being, reducing the consumption of gas, like petroleum, whatever. And how do I mean by that? You see, it's hardly any house in Nigeria does not have generator. So you can go solar. solar energy, you have solar, you have inverter, so that you can convert the natural sun into energy by transferring it to your inverter and then use it to power your homes. And also by having a cool environment, having trees around, having vertical garden all over your wall, you have what is called things that can reduce the excessive heat in the atmosphere. That is number two. Number three is there are three: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So you reduce some of the things that we're doing that is affecting the global warming. One of them is you need 3 clothes. You go and buy 10. You know, indirectly, you have to iron it. You have to wash it. You have to do a lot of things to make sure that you keep those 10 clothes. So you reduce. And then recycle. You that when you are going for procurement of thing, that do I really need? If you don't need it, you discard it. And then you also consider that can you reuse this thing you want to buy? If you buy a plastic now, you can actually, after using it, keep it somewhere, call those people that recycle it, give it to them and get money in exchange for that. So by so doing, you are mitigating against the climate change.
You know, this recycling you talked about, very crucial. But here in Nigeria, we don't seem to have a lot of energy, towards it. I remember I've been keeping some plastics in my house, and I learned recently that there is this company or a set of people that go around the estate to buy them. I've called them like a couple of times. When are you coming? When are we? We've not been able to meet yet, and I've resorted to just throwing them away with the hope that the scavengers will pick them and sell to these people. So, how do we get to see more commitment towards renewables, recycling of plastics in this, in this climate?
Number one is advocacy. We need to step up a lot of giving information that, look, most of these plastic that you're using, there are actually some people that collect them. Like in my company now, we have waste bag for plastic. We have for vegetable waste, and we also have for a waste that you can actually, like a paper and whatever, that you can actually recycle. So when they come, they just go directly, collect those things and give them away. You need to find out those people that engage or that are actually involved in collecting all those items. Otherwise, we continue to throw these things and they find their ways into our drainages and canal.
Okay. So you've talked. What sort of plants grow well in this part of the world? Well, let's focus on Lagos, where we live. What sort of plants should a regular person in Lagos be thinking of planting that would grow with ease at all weather?
We have tropical plants, and there are quite many. Some of them, we have palms, we have trees like ficus, like Delonis regia, so many that you can mention of, like Bougainvillea. Bougainvillea at this season used to blossom. You have it flowering all over. And then we have palms like Queen's palm, King's palm, steel palm, bottle palm, that you can actually use in some of the aprons or setback to add aesthetics to our environment. And as regards trees, we have what is called Terminalia mentalis, like the one we have over there, that has a very large crown of leaves. So you can use that for your boulevards, for your streets, to actually mop up the carbon dioxide in the air, and also purify the air.
In the words of John Moore, for every walk with nature, one gets more than 1 6. We're talking nature here today. We're talking climate change on One, and we have none other than the environmentalist himself, Mr. Shola Adekoya, giving us all that we need to know about nature and how to embrace it for our own good and for the good of Mother Earth. Let's talk about net zero. One of the issues that came up in COP27. What do we know about net zero and what is it about?
It's about carbon credit. Carbon credit in the sense that most of those countries that produce a lot of carbon dioxide through their activities as volunteer to actually compensate by giving so much in terms of finances to also discourage some companies and countries that are engaged in producing a lot of carbon dioxide. Carbon credits is a way of buying your carbons off you. They pay for you if you reduce the number of carbon that you generate, then they pay you in compensation so that you actually reduce the amount of carbon you discharge into the atmosphere so that there won't be excessive carbon that will infiltrate the climate.
So industrialized countries are committed to providing $100 million, no, $100 billion,
$100 billion, yeah,
to developing countries as a result of this.
Yeah.
So is Nigeria benefiting from it, or will Nigeria benefit from it?
I wouldn't know, but you need to position yourself before you can harness such fund. There's a lot of criteria that you have to meet before you can access those.
Because I imagine that when you're talking about developing countries that should benefit from such a thing, Nigeria should be one.
Nigeria should be one.
Talking about nations that are industrialized nations that are responsible for high pollution, talking about China, talking about the US.
China, Russia,
yeah.
United States of America, yeah.
What would be your advice to an urban dweller in Lagos who has little or no space to plant flowers, to have gardens? How would you advise them to inculcate it and make it a part of their lives? Because they are limited in terms of space.
There's no way you will not have a little space where you can actually have some greenery around you. Even if it is your toilet, your bathroom, your sitting room, you can have greens within them. Then your wall, you can make use of your wall. Your balcony, you can actually hang some flowers in them. And there is this thing that is going on in advanced countries now they call Neolithic life, whereby everything you do has to do with greenery. So I think Nigeria, we are far, far, far away from that. But it is not something hard. You can cultivate the habit of collecting maybe 2 or 3 plants every month. So when you get your salary, just, okay, let me just have a bit of some greens along my balcony, my wall, my kitchen, my bathroom. Before you know it, you have collections of close to 100. And if every individual cultivates such habit, you have a greener environment.
Okay, apart from the aesthetics and the good it does to the environment, let's take a look at the therapeutic powers of flowers and plants to the human being.
Mm-hmm.
How therapeutic is it to us as human beings?
You know, nature is incredible. When you are in the midst of plant, you feel calm, no stress. After much hustling and bustling, especially in the Lagos metropolis, you come back to your home, and then the next thing you see greens. You be calm. It is sort of calmness. It gives you that calmness that, yes, you are in the midst of nature. There is no way. You cannot compare the kind of breeze you are getting here with when you get outside there. So it calms you. Mm-hmm. Someone like me, when I'm distressed, I just go into my garden, talk to my plant, relate with them, look at the beauty, the creature, and say, God is wonderful. Nature is incredible. the structure, the texture, the color of plants. It goes a long way.
When you talk about talking to your plants, do you think that plants have a way of hearing and responding to human beings?
Definitely, if you have two plants, curse one and praise one. After some few months, go back. The one you are cursing will not do well. And the one you are praising and you are nurturing will continue to blossom. That is nature.
What is the psychology in that? How? Could you explain deeper how this is?
When you study the life of naturalists, you will see, number one thing you notice about them is they surround themselves with nature. And what do I mean? Plants, animals, you see butterflies, birds coming, like my house now. Every morning by 5 a.m., I used to be woken up by the noise of birds. They come around making different kind of noise, and I look out, wow, beautiful birds coming into mine. So I feel relaxed. So that's what I'm saying, that naturalists.
And when did you start?
I went into gardening. I have a passion about gardening. I was passionate about it. And then I started by collecting plants right from my primary school days. So a friend of mine just told me that this was my uncle, a professor in UI. This is what he does. So why can't you commercialize it? Then I increased the tempo, began to collect, selling. The one I so much in love and very scarce, I keep them. So that's how I started about 30-something years ago. Let's say precisely 40 years ago.
And how's the business been? How is the business of gardening been?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad, despite the fact that the economy is biting hard. There's a lot of inflation. The gardening is something that once you understand it and you position yourself and you know your audience, definitely you cannot lack. You make a living and you live well.
In this 30-something years of being a gardener, would you say that Nigerians have a good appreciation of nature compared with our counterparts in other parts of the world?
I will give Nigeria, let's say, 2%.
2%?
Yes.
2 out of 100?
Even less than 2%, because most people that love gardens, they are among the affluents. Certain percentage of the affluents. Somebody who cannot afford 3 square meters will not think about gardening, will not think about having plants in his home. So it is common among the affluents, even very few among them. Those people that actually love nature, those people actually understand what nature meant, those people that have traveled far and they have seen the beauty of plants. So when they come back home, they want to improve their garden, they want to improve their homes. They call on us professionals, we advise them, this is what you have to have in your backyard garden, this is for your frontage garden, this is for your bedroom, this is for your this and that. Some just pick interest and they keep on collecting. There are some of our clients, some people out there that they even have more collections than we professionals. So I would say it's a function of passion, and then also when you believe in something, you go for it.
When you believe in something, you go for it.
Yeah.
Also, this 2% that you've given to Nigerians, I find it very alarming, and you are correct. You are correct. But can something be done about it to educate Nigerians, to enlighten them on the need to have plants around them? And they don't have to be expensive ones, do they?
No. We can encourage them by stepping up the advocacy, having radio, television program like what you're doing now, and also telling them the benefit of plants. Not only using plants to decorate, we have vegetables, we have medicinal plants that you can take first thing in the morning. I have a garden, I have an opposite garden there, where I take pawpaw every morning. And I take herbs to nourish my nerves and veins. Just boil them and then take them first thing in the morning and then last thing in the evening.
And you look fantastic. Do you mind if I ask your age?
I'm over 60.
Can you believe that? No, I mean, your tummy is not bulging. You're looking so smart, so lean, so good, fresh. Your skin is not cracking. Of course, black don't crack, but you look so good. And that can be and must be attributed to the nature that you surround yourself with and that you ingest every morning.
Definitely. I could vividly recollect that recollected that some years back, I used to fall sick. But when I embraced nature, taking all this up regularly, I've not patronized my doctor for over 12 years. But before, there was no month I will not go to the hospital. At times, my wife will rush me in the night to the hospital. But since I've been taking all these medicinal plants in proportion, I've nothing like headache, nothing like malaria, nothing like anything. Everything is intact.
Okay.
And I feel very strong.
Very strong. Well, at this point, I would have to ask for a tour of your garden. And this is just part of the gardens that you have. You have Shodex, and then this is your house, and you have another garden just opposite your house. So I would love us to have a tour of your gardens. Is that okay?
It is okay by me.
All right. Well, time has come for us to take a tour of his gardens to see these beautiful flowers he surrounded himself with all these years, and also some that he takes early in the morning to fix his system, which, you know, have helped him to look this good and this healthy over 60 years of age. Let's go, guys.
Pawpaw, you can see this one is ripe. If you don't mind, I can get you this one. This is what I take every morning.
Oh, wow.
So, madam, this is for you.
Thank you. My papa.
You have my fan, different kind of fan. See, these are my collections. I'm still planning to improve on the garden anyway.
It's been a beautiful tour of Mr. Shola Adekoya's garden, and I hope with a program such as this today on One and One, you've been inspired to go set up a garden. You have no excuse. Do not say you do not have space. He has said you can use your windows, your walls. Which other places did you say they can, use?
Your bathroom.
Your bathrooms.
Your
Your kitchen.
sitting room. Your balcony.
Surround yourself with nature. Nature is beautiful. It is healing. The colors and everything that comes with it. I am Maureen Menong-Wezigwe. Many thanks for being a part of One on One today. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you for having me.
See you next time.
You're welcome.
My signature on my paintings are Kike Johnson, but
Yeah, I think so. Thinking about it now, I'm not even sure, but yeah, I think so. Most of them have my name on it, apart from my fashion brand though. My name is Kike Lomo Johnson. I am a visual artist and a fashion designer. My art is inspired by a lot of things, by Black women, by colors, animations, different things. A lot of things that like inspire me, but I naturally enjoy drawing Black women. I think it's amazing. Yeah, sometimes I have artist block where I want to draw something but I can't. I just get like, okay, I don't know what to do, or I just get, it's just a block, so sometimes I have to get out of that phase by either drawing something else or creating something different, or maybe getting inspiration from something else totally different from what I am doing at the moment. So that way I get inspired again and I get to draw and actually do something. Black women are amazing, number one. We have a lot of amazing features. As an artist, there are different things I see. Like I can see someone's face and I'm like, oh my God, I need to draw that, the angle, just different things on the face that makes it very interesting, to visualize and to draw. And then we have different skin tones. So it's just amazing to see how you can blend colors together to get a particular tone, and you can have 5 different women with 5 totally different skin tones. And it's just, every time I see someone, I always look through, look at those things, the shadow, the light, and all of that. I think I enjoy the process most about expressing myself through art. I enjoy how it's done. I enjoy seeing the finished product. After spending like 6 hours drawing something, I'm like, okay, I think we're good to go, I enjoy the entire process generally. I just like doing, so there are days where I don't want to create portraits. I draw maybe something minimal. I can do like a minimal line art. And it's okay, this is all I'm doing today. And I enjoy the process of that. That might take me 30 minutes, but I still enjoy going through that process. The Nigerian art space is amazing. It's growing and it's just very broad now. There are a lot of opportunities for people like me in the industry. We are doing so many amazing things, from digital art to traditional art to even NFTs. There's just so many things that Nigerian creatives are doing now that I think it's just amazing. To see that Nigeria went from not appreciating art as much to now appreciating art is a good thing. Love it. I actually wish I did go to an art school. I think that way maybe I'd have been like Picasso right now. But no, I didn't go to an art school. I learned everything myself. I've always loved drawing. When I was a child, I would draw Mickey Mouse. I would draw like just different cartoonish things, so I've always enjoyed drawing. I've enjoyed the process. Yeah. All right. So for young female aspiring artists in Nigeria, I'll say they should go for it. In this industry, I've come to understand that there are not so many female artists as much as there are men. So it's a good thing to see women want to become artists and actually do it. One major thing is you just have to keep practicing, just get better at your craft, and that's it. Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities out there. Art has influenced my fashion in different ways, from colors to patterns to just creating something. Sometimes I just do a design, I'm like, okay, this is not what I wanted, but at least we tried it, So art for me is life. Everything around me is art. I look at every single object and I see shadows, I see lights, I'm looking at the way it's done, So art has influenced my fashion in different ways, and I'm excited about that. I enjoy it. So in a few years, I see myself doing amazing things, bigger things than I'm doing now. in the international workspace, nationally, and just doing. I hope to have a major studio in a few years' time where anybody can just come to us and say, okay, I want to create this type of art, and we can have someone working in the studio create it. Different things, from animation to illustrations to different type of artwork.
APC Presidential Campaign Council demands arrest and prosecution of Obasanjo and Atiku Abubakar over alleged theft of public funds, while the PDP hits back with allegations of money laundering charges of the APC presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Tonight, we take a deep dive into the allegations leveled against the various presidential candidates, and the DSS running battle pauses between them and the CBN Governor Emefiele. Well, this is Plus Politics, and I am Mary Ann Akon. As the general elections draw closer, the All Progressive Congress Presidential Campaign Council has demanded the immediate arrest of the former President Olusegun Obasanjo and the presidential candidate of the opposition People's Democratic Party Atiku Abubakar over alleged privilege or pilferage of the marine float account running into billions of naira. Now, the People's Democratic Party has, however, responded to the demand of the All Progressive Congress seeking to arrest Atiku Abubakar, the PDP candidate. According to them, the APC presidential candidate has a litany of confirmed legal impediments on very grave issues, including those that border on international crime, namely trafficking in narcotics and taking proceeds of narcotics. Well, joining us to discuss this tonight is Gbenga Olorupomi. He is a public relations consultant and an APC member, and Tunji Abdulhamid, who is a member of the Kwara State PDP Presidential and State Campaign Council. He's also a legal practitioner. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Gbenga, thank you for joining us. Yes. Great. I'm going to start with, of course, you, Gbenga. Your party, I remember watching the press conference with your spokesperson talking about the SA and Festus Keyamo reeling out and giving the ICPC and the EFCC about 72 hours, if I'm not mistaken, to make sure that these men were arrested. What exactly do you think gives the APC such grounds and, of course, the temerity to put out that statement?
All right, thank you very much. I think one of the few reasons why my party decided to make such a move is because the legacy media decided to ignore something that we felt was a big enough story that should be on every front page of a newspaper if we really say we want to build a country that is holds politicians to account. An aide of somebody who was vice president of this 80 came out and said that he has evidence that his principal admitted that he set up special purpose vehicles to defraud Nigerians of our hard-earned money. And guess what? He had been online for more than a week, and nobody said a word about it in the legacy media. Everybody ignored it. This is a young man who is putting his own life in danger who mentioned his own name. In fact, he went ahead to publish an affidavit where he swore that yes, he has been legally working for this for Atiku Abubakar for years and years. He has pictures of himself with members of his family, with Atiku himself, which, in fact, this is a guy who Atiku's family cannot deny. But guess what? He came out and said, hey, I have evidence that special purpose vehicles were set up by the vice president for the president at the time, Obasanjo. And guess what? These special purpose vehicles were used to siphon money. One of them was used to take money from Joshua Darie, allegedly, who, and that money was 100 million. And that is the one that we know today, the famous Marine Float account, or whatever it's called. Now, the point is this. If the legacy media had done their job, our media hands in the APC wouldn't have had any reason. But guess what?
I think that we lost that connection with Gbenga. We'll try to get Gbenga back. Tunji, let's come to you. Anybody can come up with an allegation and, of course, say that they have, evidence. I'm curious, like Gbenga said, what was the legacy, group doing, especially members of the PR for your presidential candidate? Have they looked at the evidence? What exactly? Because if this young man is coming out, like he said, to put his life on the line, to say, not just talk about your presidential candidate, but his former principal, former President Olusegun Obasanjo. The PDP's response mostly is against the APC and their candidate. But what can the PDP say about these allegations? Because they might sound spurious, but then it's a cause for concern.
That I'm not talking on behalf of PDP here. I'm not talking on behalf of Atiku Abubakar. I'm a member of PDP. I'm a member of the Presidential and the Kwara State Campaign Council. But notwithstanding, I don't have the mandate of the party to come and speak on behalf of the party. I am speaking as a lawyer, as a member of the party. So I don't want people to take my word as party's position. So that's just the caution that I want to put up. I think the APC and the media people, it appears they don't have enough job to do, and they were trying to look for more jobs that would make them busy, and in terms of getting themselves popular more, in terms of trying to use popularity of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of PDP, to play their game. I think it's an attempt by the APC to distract a moving. I don't want to use train because under the APC now, train have been hijacked while moving. So the moving the campaign of the PDP as it's going. So they want something that will just want to distract attention, which cannot work because the PDP is focused, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is focused, and that's why you see I have not what they are even talking about is unfortunately the person behind this is even an SAN. It's an SAN, and it's acting based on mere allegations that have not been verified, that have not been confirmed by anybody. Even himself is mere allegation, mere paper dropped by somebody that have not been confirmed by anybody, that have not been traced by anybody, that have not been investigated by anybody, and you are taking it as a hook and sinker as correct position of things.
But Mr. Keyamo is calling on the ICPC and, of course, the EFCC to go further to investigate. Again, there's a video by this young man who was put out. Most people would say, why has the Atiku campaign or even the former vice president himself not come out to say if he knows this man or not, to give credence or to, one way or the other, debunk this information? Why are they silent? I guess that's the same question that Gbenga was asking.
No, you don't join issue with people you don't have any issue with. He made his allegation he wants to be more popular. I don't know the man, and I'm sure the party, the media, and people in the party have also made statement in that regard. It was not denied. Some people said they know him. He was appointed by a group, campaign support group for Atiku, not by Atiku himself. He has no letter to support to show that he was working for Atiku. He has a letter of appointment to that effect. That is so. What I'm saying that if you are saying somebody at this age where I can do a voice over on that person, or can put my head on another person's head and say this is the person that is talking, that has to be verified first. You have to ensure, look, you have done all the necessary things. And yes, I'm aware he's calling the FCC to come and to do that. Is it by way of a press conference to do that, just to say that, to show you that it's about politics. It's just trying to use Atiku to be more popular in their party or to have more job to do for now, because they are not much busy in that regard. So I think, as far as I'm concerned, and the party is not looking at it in that way, because as far as you are concerned, if you have a case, go to court, and when you go to court, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will, you know, they just want to create more impression that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is corrupt. That's what they are trying to create, that perception to deceive people who are not enlightened, who are not well informed. Just like what they normally say whenever they talk about Atiku is corrupt. What they will tell you is that go and read President Obasanjo's book, as if in that book President Obasanjo has highlighted or gave any particular corrupt practice done by Atiku. He only made a general allegation of corrupt practice that this man is corrupt, and they will go there. That is the kind of impression they try to
I want to ask you, have
people.
you read that book, My Watch, by former President Olusegun Obasanjo?
Yes, I've done that.
And you're certain that
I did not see any specific
and you're certain that he
crime
did
allegation.
not elaborate on certain things about.
I did not see specific case where he said, look, in this case, this also amount of whatever was paid. These are that was just specific. They are all general, which anybody can make. So, and that's why Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is even ignoring those. You know, if you have good case, you don't join case with people that don't have case. You are helping them. Allow them to go. Let them take their case to court if they have a case, and then let them now defend it. You know, in our system, it is not the duty of the person that being alleged to show that I am not guilty or I didn't do it. It is your duty who is alleging to prove it. You who allege must prove. So they have to go to court and do that. When they go to court, the PDP and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will respond appropriately. You don't respond to rumors. These are rumors. These are just assumptions. These are just allegations that have not been verified, have not been investigated by anybody. So as far as I'm concerned, it is not a kind of allegation that PDP should be worried about. The Alhaji Atiku Abubakar should be worried about to say you want to respond to it. You are joining issue with people who are not. You are giving them more relevance. That's just it. And that's why the PDP has refused to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has refused to personally answer into those issues. The issue is the evidence they're talking about. If submitted to EFCC, let's even assume, who will go and prove it? Where is the man who made the allegation? Is he the one that's writing petition to the EFCC? When they call Kiyamo, will he be able to show evidence of those companies said to have been incorporated by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar? Will he be able to show us that, look, these are the name of the directors? Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is number 3, number 4, number 5 in this company. Also, so amount of money was paid to his account. These are issues that cannot be verified, that cannot be substantiated. So, as far as I'm concerned, they are just mere allegations that does not even require much explanation. They just want to create that impression, that perspective or impression that, look, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is corrupt. And that's what they're trying to put to the public.
I don't know if we have Benga back. Benga, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well, and I've been enjoying the.
Yeah, we lost connection with you for a bit.
Yeah, you must enjoy it. You must enjoy it. Thank you.
So again, there are many questions that he raised. How are you certain? Because Festus sounded more like he has the evidence with him. He knows that the evidence is tested and tried, and he can go to court with it. Again, anybody, I can come up today and say that I have evidence for something. I know this person. Of course, I know you. You and I are speaking, but I could also make claims that could be spurious. But when it comes down to it, should the APC be sitting on this issue? Have they gone themselves to authenticate this so-called evidence that this young man has? And should you be having a press conference on this matter? Just a question.
So we are a party of process. We understand processes. We understand procedure. And I'm happy to announce, if nobody knew, that Professor Kiyamo is a senior advocate, a well-learned lawyer. You can't ask us to go and verify it. And I'll repeat what I said at the beginning of this conversation. If the legacy media had done their job to actually shine a light on this matter the way they are supposed to, they wouldn't have had to address it press conference. That would have needed to happen because the investigation would have been done by the people who should have done it. That press conference was done to prompt those who are, hiding their head under the sand. Look, you can't not say you are not hearing this. You cannot say you are not seeing this. The young man we are talking about here, and I'm not going to, for him even working for Atiku to start with, it means that he's not of good virtue to start. But
But the APC conducted a world press conference on an issue that you're telling me that you're not certain if you had verified it in the first place. And if it becomes...
That is the point. What we are saying is that somebody raised an
out to be false,
and that allegation
should the PDP be suing the APC Campaign Council to court? I'm saying
the matter should be investigated.
You're saying that... hold on, just hold on so that you understand me and you can answer me. If you're telling me that this should be the job of the PDP to investigate, well, yes, fine and well.
I didn't say job of the PDP. I said the job of those that should do the investigating.
Yes, but then you're calling a press conference on a matter that you're not even certain that it's true, right? Because he says he has evidence, but do you know if the evidence can hold water?
And that is why Festus Keyamo has written a letter to the executive chairman of the EFCC, the executive chairman, the chairman of the ICPC, and the chairman of the Beru, the Code of Conduct Beru, that look, he's giving them 72 hours to either invite or arrest, interrogate and prosecute Alhaji Atiku Abubakar based on these 4 evidence. 1, offenses against the Code of Conduct for public officers. 2, offense of money laundering. 3, offense of criminal breach of trust and criminal misappropriation. And 4, offense of conspiracy. That is it. If somebody has made as small as I am, if somebody makes an allegation against me, that is weight, EFCC would invite me and question me. That's all we are asking these bodies to do. Investigate. The young man has gone ahead to swear an affidavit that yes, he was an aide of this man. Yes, he had. As me and you speak, there is a recording, and I don't know why we're not playing this recording on air here. There's a recording of Atiku explaining what SPV means to this young man. There is a recording, a phone recording with emails, with phone numbers. We want Atiku to come out and say, that is not my phone number. We want Atiku to come out and say, that boy, I've never met him. We want Atiku to come out and say, I don't know what SPV means, what a special purpose vehicle means. Why? Because it is the right of, if you are accused and you really take your matter of integrity to important, you come out and defend yourself. For him not defending himself, it is an admission. That is what we are saying. He's admitting that he's corrupt, and he's telling Nigerians that it doesn't matter.
Let's talk about
our politicians can be as corrupt as they want, and they will not be investigated. And that's what we are saying here, that the ICPC, the EFCC, and the Code of Conduct should do their jobs and invite this and dig to the bottom of this matter. Because guess what? As against them that will just throw allegations at us without taking the step, we have taken the step and written a letter. Go and investigate this matter because we are sure.
Okay.
I will further bring that because he's not a lawyer and he does not know how it operates. When you write petition to EFCC, the person who wrote the petition will have to come and verify and show reason why that must happen. Do they have those enough? They don't have those documents to back up their allegation other than the one they printed out from the
I said that he has said that he has the evidence. He has sworn an evidence that he has the evidence. What else do you want?
Is it the man that said he has an evidence that's coming to EFCC? It's as a third party. Let's see evidence. That's what they're bringing. Keyamo is not the one who said he has those evidence. He should not be the one to even write the petition. If I thought there's going to be any petition, it should be the man who said, I have a case against Alhaji Atiku. Because he'll be the one to prove it. It's not Keyamo that will come and give evidence before the court. So he doesn't even know what he's saying. And unfortunately, it's an SAN. He's an SAN. He knows these things. It's just a politics. You see, unfortunately, we're in a country where people are not even, in fact, APC, they have what we call, shame. Sorry for that adjective. They should not even be the one to even raise this issue.
Why shouldn't the APC raise this issue? I'm curious.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
This is a party whose presidential candidate have been asked a lot of questions regarding his age, regarding his the drug issue, regarding his identity. So many questions on his head regarding what does he do for a living? What does he do? He has not come out to answer any of them. And they are the one talking about somebody is corrupt here. Who Who should be talking? Nobody can say this is the job of Asiwaju Tinubu. This is why he makes his money. This is what he's doing.
What is the case? What is the corruption case that is against the APC presidential candidate?
Thank you very much. He's asking.
There is a lot of corruption case against him. There is issue of Bulan File. Nobody has.
He was an example.
It's a money laundering issue. There's Bulan File issue in 2019. It has not been investigated up to date.
So having a Bulan File in your house.
Benga, please let him speak. Benga, please let him speak.
There's a case in court filed by one of his former directors in Alpha Beta against him. It raised so many issues before they burnt the High Court of Lagos State. Today the file cannot be found. Probably that may even be one of the reasons where the
same man that has endorsed
Benga, please, can you let him finish so that you can speak?
It doesn't matter. He may have endorsed him. He has the paper in court. They speak for. He can't erase that. He has facts. He has front to evidence before the court. So that's why he's even before the court. That's why he does not come out to even contradict those positions. This is a party whose candidate cannot even answer so many of these questions. The drug issue are there. Certified true copy of judgment available, and they're still talking about mere allegation on issue that cannot be verified, that cannot even be substantiated. Who I can come out today and say anything against you, or even do my own magic and say you are Tunji and I'm Benga. I can change your head at this age to my own, and that will be done. We have to verify it, and that's why EFCC or the agencies are not even the subject because they've not seen proper evidence before them to say. They can't just say because Tunji said somebody is corrupt, they now just go after that person. There must be evidence. They have work to do. They are not like like I said earlier on. APC media people don't have what to do. And they are very busy and that they want to be busy with something, and they are trying to bring this up so as to be busy and to be seen as being busy to be able to say they are doing something. As far as I'm concerned, it's a distraction which will not work. Atiku is more mature than that. PDP is more mature than that. They will not fall for this distraction, and that's why nobody is answering them. You can see Alhaji Atiku is not even bothered. They are in like Ekiti today doing their campaign.
Okay.
They are moving. They don't bother about all these allegations, so they are not moved. So don't worry. Just go and look for other means. That all distraction will not affect our career candidate. And for your information, the issue of let's even assume they're not conceding that allegation of corruption against Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. That is not a grant to disqualify anybody under Section 137 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Until you are tried, found guilty, and sentenced, that's when you can be disqualified. So it's unfortunate that SCN is based on allegation is asking that a candidate be set aside or be disqualified because of
the same can be said about your party, because your party is also saying that the candidate of the APC should be disqualified on the grounds of the fact that he also has claims of corruption hanging around him. So I mean, in this case,
if they are saying so I can let them debate point of defense to attack as well. They are saying something that is not reasonable. Let us also put it to them and see what will be their own reactions as well. If they are saying somebody should resign based on, or should step aside based on allegations, okay, there are a lot of allegations against your candidate as well. Let him also step aside. If that's what they are going to, they are afraid that they can't meet this man.
Okay.
At the pool, and they are trying to look for a way to set him aside.
Benga, you wanted to interject a long time ago, but now you can. Benga, are you there?
Yes, I've been fully entertained tonight because it is clear to me that my contributions has rattled my barrister on the other side. And the point is this: you have a candidate whose own aide is saying that his own personal
who appointed him
and has sworn that
Tunji, please
the evidence
speak.
is there. No, there's no need. The evidence is there. His letter of appointment, his pictures, even statement from his children. He has recorded statements from the children of this man admitting to corrupt practices and what they plan. That is what we are talking about here. If you want to say here, want to talk about Atiku, he's a man who said that he built his wealth by selling cars while he admitted. This man admitted in the face of the world that he was selling cars when all you are supposed to do as a public, as a civil servant, is the only business you're allowed to do is agriculture. But guess what? He admitted publicly that he was selling cars. Is that the man we want as president? Those are the questions. Is that a man who today in Ekiti, less than 5,000 people turned up at the rally? because they know. From all these things, they know that.
I'm sorry, Gbenga, I have a question. I'm sorry. So
yes.
if a person has less than 5,000 people turning up,
that is not even correct.
That's not even correct. No, just hold on. Hold on. Tunji, hold on. I'm going somewhere. How is this a grounds for a person not to run for office because he just had 5,000 people turn up for him at his campaign?
Oh, I'm going to say this.
How's that a problem to you in the APC? If he has 5,000 people turning up for him, why is it a problem for you in the APC?
I am a member of the APC, same with the 6 gentlemen who addressed press conference. Can you hear me?
I'm listening.
Yes, I'm a member of the APC, probably even joined the party earlier than the 6 gentlemen, directors of the media who addressed the press conference. They have their opinion. Yes. They are saying that Atiku should resign. I don't think I should. Personally, I don't think so. Because we are going to beat in black and blue on the field. It is clear the direction of this election. It is very, very clear. Today, in Kwara, where my friend there is, he is currently. We stood in a lorry. We showed the world that we are ready for this election. It was the mammoth crowd that turned up at that campaign. It has never been done before. But there in Ekiti today, what happened? And the reason is simple. This is the man that cannot even unite his own party. He can't even unite his own party in more than half of the states in this country. The party is in factor. One of them being Ekiti, where he went to today, and it showed. So if a man that can't unite his party, whose aides are telling on him, whose children are conspiring among themselves and making sure that he runs for an office they know he's not fit for, who was helped up the stairs in Lokoja, helped up and helped down the stairs by aides.
Benga, please tell our people. That you created there was a movement restriction in Ekiti today just because of this campaign. Tell people that let's know that your government declare movement restriction in Ekiti, so that to prevent people from going to
Gentlemen, because we're out of time, quickly, I just want to ask a quick question. The Labour Party has waded into this mess, and the Labour Party is saying that both the PDP and the APC presidential candidates need to be tried and, if possible, disqualified, being that both candidates have been seen as corrupt. I want, a statement each from you guys because we have to go now. Quickly.
So let me quickly go because when the Labour Party candidate is speaking about this election, is what we are calling aside, we are calling him PDP-like. He was a member of the PDP for a long time. He was also an advisor to the former president.
The Labour Party is saying that your candidate is corrupt, and if there is evidence enough to try your candidate,
he's only saying whatever it is he's saying,
disqualify him.
The language of the people. As far as we are concerned, whatever he says, we don't care about. He was the governor of 8 years, no impact. He was advisor on economy, no impact. So why should we care what he has to say?
Okay, thank you, Gbenga. I just said a statement to you.
He's the only one that has
Gbenga, we have to go.
Hanging around his neck.
Gbenga, we have to go. We have to take Tunji's response.
From talking about.
All right, quickly.
Labour Party is just trying to look for a shortcut to become the president because he knows that there is no way he can win this election. So it's only when there is no number 1, number 2, which is number 1 is Atiku, number 2 is Atiku Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Probably he will come in and then he will likely step in if the number 1 and number 2.
And who gave you these numberings? Who assigned these numberings to you?
You will confirm it by February 25th. You will say,
but who gave you these numberings? Who gave you number 1 and who gave them
you will
number
say,
2?
I say so. I gave it. I've studied everything.
So you're saying that the PDP can win elections for themselves without Nigeria?
Just promise that you will invite me back
to
come and repeat this. I will tell you that I say so.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. We have to go.
Is our next president in this
we have to go. Nigerians will decide who becomes their president. Gbenga Olonpomi is a public relations consultant and an APC member. Tunji Abdulhamid is a member, Kwara State PDP Presidential and State Campaign Council, and is also a legal practitioner. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll be discussing the drama that ensued within the central bank, even though the DSS has come out to say no such thing happened. Stay with us. The battle between the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, and the Department of State Services over a plan to arrest the governor may have been put on hold as Emefiele resumed yesterday. The CBN governor on Monday resumed at the CBN headquarters after spending several weeks in the United Kingdom and the United States following reported plots by the DSS to arrest him. The bank has urged Nigerians to continue to support the policies of the bank aimed at ensuring a stable financial system and the Nigerian economy in general. Well, joining us to discuss this is Dotun Hassan. He is a legal practitioner, and Achike Chude, who is a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. I think that both of you are muted, so we can't hear you. Okay, but I'm going to start with...
I'm not muted.
Okay, I can hear you now. I'm going to start with you, Achike. Yeah, Achike. First things first. There seemed to have been a pause, with the CBN governor and him making the news and the headlines right after the very interesting change of the look and feel of the Naira. There was not a lot happening in that area, and then the story of the fact that his office was being, invaded by some men suspected to be from the DSS. Now, we remember that the senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, was quoted to say that Emefiele was not in the country. And then the next thing we saw was that invasion. Even though the Department of State Services has come out to say that these men did not belong to the DSS. What do you make of this? Or did this not even happen in the first instance?
Well, it's you continue to see manifestations of the theater of the absurd in Nigeria, obviously. The whole episode between Emefiele and the DSS is another happening, another event that is also unprecedented. And so when you look at so many other things that have gone on within the polity, especially under the platform, under the watch of Mr. President and the APC, the All Progressive Congress, you realize that so many things are taking, beyond the pale, that so many things are getting to the zenith. And some of these things are unprecedented, or even if these are things that have happened in the past, but these ones have gone to a completely different level. We have never had an instance in this country where the DSS would go to court and seek to arrest, a sitting CBN governor. But again, it is good that you mentioned the Femi Falana, because he was one that reminded us about a similar scenario under the Jonathan administration, when that administration had a running battle with the former CBN governor, former the man in charge of the emir of Kano. That is Sanusi.
Yes, that's Lamido Sanusi. We do have some we do have some audio coming from one of you. I don't know where it's coming from.
That I see. Am I okay now? Because I was also hearing that. Anyway, so it was the same scenario with Lamido Sanusi, the Lamido, and the former emir of Kano, when the government tried to also arrest him because they had a running battle with him. So it's not a new thing. And what was the charge against Sanusi then? It was the same charge of terrorism. So what it tells you is that I don't know exactly what it is that Emefiele, has done to incur the wrath of the DSS. But one thing that is obvious is that Emefiele has needlessly courted controversy since he became the governor of the CBN. And the height of it, really, which was insulting to a lot of Nigerians, was that he had desecrated the position of the central bank governor to dabble into politics. Obviously, we know, the position of the central bank governor. Usually, a banker is said to be a very conservative kind of person. He doesn't court controversy. When you become the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, even more so, your conservatism, and you don't get into all this controversy. So that was a low for the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. So from that, then we went into the controversy of this new currency. Obviously, he has the right to institute a new currency to redesign the currency of Nigeria. The CBN Act gives him that right as long as it's in consultation with the president. But that also had its own controversy because the Minister of Finance, who should have been in the know, said that she had no idea of what was going on. But beyond that is the fact that when eventually the DSS wanted him arrested, they went to court. And the judge in the court, the judge was also very smart and wary and suspicious of what the DSS was trying to do, because that activity itself of going to court to get an order to effect his arrest was cloaked in mischief. If you remember what the judge said, he said, "I know a certain Godwin Emefiele. Is it the same Godwin Emefiele that is the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria?" And when the DSS answered in the affirmative, he was wondering why it was hidden, because Godwin Emefiele is a known name in the country. And then beyond that, he said, "Look, but the other day, just about 24 hours earlier, the Emefiele, I saw him in Aso Rock. He was in Aso Rock, obviously with the president of this country, with the president of the country. And so if you needed to effect an arrest, in the first place, you didn't even need to come to the court to seek the permission of the court to arrest him. He does not have immunity. But it is proper for you to also see the man who appointed Emefiele as governor of the CBN, to also discuss whatever it is you have found wrong with Emefiele." So, for me, the whole thing, whatever, is going on between the DSS and Emefiele has nothing, and I believe it has nothing to do with terrorism. And the reason why I say so is this: perhaps we don't even know whether the DSS or the people trying to, trying to get rid of Emefiele, I'm not sure whether they have approached the EFCC or the police, obviously, or the ICPC. Because it is those institutions, if Emefiele has been involved in any kind of corruption or financial crime, it is those institutions that should be the organizations, that should be involved in the prosecution of Emefiele. That did not happen. So for the DSS to be able to effect an arrest, they had to say something that was within the purview of their operation. And that is to insinuate that he is sponsoring terrorism. And that's why they were able to get to wade in on what is going on. But it is surprising that the president of the nation has not said anything about what is going on.
Exactly, and that's my question to Dr. Dr. I think that you're in a very noisy place and we're unable to hear you clearly because all we can hear is some background noise. I hope that you can deal with that.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, but we're getting feedback from you. What do you think this is about? Because again, just like Achike has said, he doesn't think that this has anything to do with terrorism. If the CBN governor was seen recently with Mr. President, again, my question is, if the DSS works for the presidency or reports to the presidency, what exactly do you think is going on here? And should we be worried about the fact that if the DSS may be acting on their own, and what else should we be worried about?
Well, let me first of all clear an impression. The DSS is an institution that is established by the Act of the National Assembly and has the sole right to investigate any matter whatsoever that has to do with the territorial interest of this country, be it security, financial issues. As far as they can suspiciously believe there is a crime to be committed or a committed crime, they can investigate and report to the appropriate authorities.
Dr. are you there? I think that we've lost that connection. Dr. can you hear me? Unfortunately, I think we've lost that connection again with Dr. Dr. are you there? Can you hear me? Sorry about that. Well, Dr. can you hear me? Achike, I think
we believe there is a way the DSS
Dr. we lost you for a second. We didn't hear anything that you said.
The DSS have been enmeshed in act of unlawful arrest, attacks, invasions of judges, of houses, of all of that. They still have those right to investigate. But be that as it may, there is just a need for more human rights face to be rejigged into the operations of the DSS. And I just want to believe that is why they approached the court to seek or a warrant of arrest, they might not have done much of disclosure before the court, depending on their investigation. They say they've already unraveled investigation. And such investigation, according to the law, they are discreet and need not be told to the whole world. But we believe if the CBN governor had no skeleton in the cupboard, it should also be able to come forward.
So, Doctor, you believe that the CBN governor could be funding terrorism? Doctor, can you hear me?
CBN governor on notice that he cannot grant the motion expert without putting the governor on notice. So, but be that as it may, in as much as we've had issues of national security, the CBN governor to adhere in law by also junketing into political arena, which ought not to be. So there are a lot of anomalies that is going on in the system, and it seems the Nigerian system gives room for this kind of excesses or this kind of impunity, and for whatever, this should not be seen as an issue of ethnic interest or somebody wanting to remove a Delta person and they need a Delta chief of army staff to protect each other. Or there are a lot of issues that we need accurate information.
Okay.
For this issue to be properly put in the right information, we expect the Minister of Information to have given us the right and detailed fact, because the CBN governor is an appointee of Mr. President. There's a need for the government to give us report, because this is the same government. So whatever the cabals within are operating upon, the law is sacrosanct. But whatever I want to believe that the DSS must have unraveled, let there be a proper disclosure, because if there is a substantial and prima facie evidence of criminality, let that be put to the fore. Nobody is above the law. Let them work with the necessary operational guidelines. I don't know if you can
hear me, Dotun. I'm going to ask.
Once they have met with the necessary operational guideline, let them now go forward. They need to have served the.
Dotun, I need to be sure that you can hear me. So I'm going to ask a simple question. Do you believe that the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, is involved in financing terrorism? I'm asking this question succinctly because you've said, oh, the Minister of Information is supposed to wade in on the matter and tell us exactly what's going on. What if, because you've also said that the DSS does have some form of independence, what would the Minister of Information be saying to Nigerians if he's not privy to what the DSS is doing? Dotun, I'm so sorry, I don't think you can hear me, so I'm going to toss that question to Achike. Achike, some of the things that Dotun has said for me raises a lot more questions. Again, if it has to do with terrorism, I mean, like he said, we can't put anything far from anyone, especially for a person who has been seen by all Nigerians to have political leanings. We're not in any way passing judgment, but then we're asking, if the information minister is being asked to speak, what exactly will he be speaking on? And I ask again, could the DSS be working on their own, being that they do not have anyone to trust? And why would Mr. President be left out of all of this?
When you have a government that is weak, there is a possibility of having a government within the government. You know, and we have heard instances of the fifth followers, people who are working within a government or within a structure, and that they are also working against that structure indirectly without letting their hands show. So I don't know exactly what is going on. But what I'm saying is exactly what the judge said. The judge was surprised that the DSS, first of all, needed the intervention of the court to effect the arrest of anybody, because they did not need that direction from the court. They did not need that direction to investigate anybody. Obviously, for them to have come to the court, it must have been based on an investigation that they had already carried out on the CBN government. So that means they didn't need the direction of the court to institute an investigation. And then why do you now, after having investigated and you feel you have a case, why do you need the permission of the court to effect the arrest of the governor of the CBN? So these are some of the things. And they didn't, and in getting to the court, they hid the identity of the person that they were going to, that they wanted the court to intervene, and that is the identity of the CBN governor. They just mentioned the name, one Godwin Emefiele. Now, so you wouldn't blame the judge for being highly suspicious of the activities, of the motive of the DSS. Besides, the judge had just seen the CBN governor about 24 hours before that time at the presidency with the president. So if there was an issue, and that is the way the judge was looking at it, as grave as the CBN governor, the central bank governor of a country like Nigeria, financing terrorism that has brought so much instability in the country, why would the DSS, chief, the director general of the DSS, not go to the president with this grave allegation? Because you're about to move against one of the most important appointees of the president. And in doing that, you're going to embarrass the president and embarrass his entire administration. That his administration is housing people, accommodating people who are, busy undermining, people who are in sensitive position, but busy undermining the territorial integrity of this country and bringing about instability of the Nigerian state.
But this is not new, is it? So this is not the first time that a sitting president has alluded to the fact that there are people who are either funding terrorism or part of corruption in his cabinet. Goodluck Jonathan did admit to that.
You see, but this is the first time the Directorate of State Services is coming with an allegation before a court to say it is the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria or that he's one of the people financing terrorism. This is unprecedented. It has never happened. So why will you not now discuss, since it has become a serious security issue that would have devastating, perhaps very debilitating impact on their place, does not have any authority to investigate anything that has to do with the instability of the Nigerian state, especially things like terrorism, terrorism financing and the rest. But the issue is, why keep it away from the president? And since that has happened, why has the president not made a statement? Either if he did not make a statement directly, he always talks to Nigerians through his spokesman, Shehu Garba, and Femi Adesina, or even through the Minister of Information. Why has the government been silent? And that is what is worrying, what is worrisome about this government. That in moments of national crisis, national emergencies, the government, especially the president, is quiet. And so it is not in any way, it does not augur well for the government and for the perception that people have of this government as a government that is interested in what is going on in the country.
I wish we could continue having this conversation because there are lots of questions that need to be answered. But again, we will revisit this issue. Achike today, I want to say thank you. He's a public affairs analyst. Dotun Hassan is a legal practitioner. Unfortunately, he disconnected because of connection issues. We couldn't really hear him. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of the conversation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
And that's the show tonight. Don't forget, do go get your PVC. Find out where your ward is. Go pick it up or where you registered. And make sure that you hold on to it because that's your passport to a new Nigeria. We'll see you tomorrow on Plus Politics as we talk continuously for development. I am Mary Anacone. Have a good evening.
Politicizing our humanity. You see, Nigeria today has become a den of unknown gunmen. And I say that because for every new report you see now, any news, anything, you see unknown gunmen kills 20, unknown gunmen kidnaps 50. So any small thing is unknown gunmen. And the level of insecurity in the country today has risen. So today we no longer ask whether our lives and properties are secured. We only ask who is next to be killed or kidnapped. We check and we see, okay, whose family is next? Which family is going to be thrown into mourning? So right now, Nigerians are only waiting, and we're waiting and saying, whose turn is it going to be? The level of insecurity in the country has become extremely worrisome. The lapses created by government, by the inaction of government. You know, government had the opportunity to nip this insecurity in the bud. You know, when it started, you know, it started like play. It wasn't this bad. It wasn't this bad. But now, because of government's inaction, we are caught up, and it seems as if there's nothing that we can do about it again. So now it is even worse. It is worse that we as citizens are not making enough noise about the right things. We are concerned about some other things. So despite the worrisome state of our dear nation, the plague of politicizing any little thing, you know, we are quick to say, now this party they run amo, now this party they do amo, is because of this party. And so right now, we are trivializing the problems and the challenges that we are facing as a nation. You know, so there are talks all over social media claiming that the violence and actions leading to the high level of insecurity, which now threatens our very existence, are sponsored. Members of the ruling and opposition parties have thrown all caution to the wind, and they exchange blames. It is this party, it is that party, rather than just actually recognizing terrorism for what terrorism is and taking actions to stop the incessant killings and kidnappings, which is threatening the very existence of Nigerians. We must stand united or fall divided. We must stand united. Nigeria is at the very brink. We are at the very brink of war. You know, and I don't think we are saying this enough. I think everyone is just looking at, okay, maybe because the thing never touched me, make we just look up, and everyone is just playing with the situation. The situation has become so dire and would worsen if we do not join voices and actions and implore the government to take decisive actions to protect the lives and properties of the people. We must educate and reorientate ourselves. We must advocate for peace and tolerance. Negative and irresponsible tribal comments, you know, it has no other thing to do than to incite violence. So it breeds this intolerance that we have for ourselves, and this tribe will say, now these people, if these people come out, we go get peace and all of those things. And then we wonder why some people are killing another tribe, and why another tribe is killing another tribe. So I feel we must be able to preach peace and preach unity, you know, if at all we want to see the end of this insurrection. I have always said this, and I think this is time to say it again. In terms of, if we're talking about security, I think the time for decentralization is now. The power that the federal government wields as far as security is concerned is too much. And it would seem that even that power now is overwhelming, such that they don't even know what to do with the power again. Assign state governments with the task of security responsibilities. Yes, at federal government level, there are some powers that you cannot just take away. But let the security apparatus in the police, security operatives that you have, let them be responsible to state governments. Let state governments take charge. Let them take charge. A governor of a particular state will not be looking at while his state is burning, and the governor is crying to federal government to come and help. So what then is the duty, and what then is the work of the state government? You know, we had mentioned earlier, but I'm just going to chip in again, that religious leaders have a role to play. You find religious leaders being totally irresponsible and reckless with the comments that they make, knowing fully well the power that you wield as a religious leader, knowing fully well the hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people that listen to you and take your word as law. you need to be very careful. You need to be cautious of how you urge people on. Because comments that you make in ways incite violence against perhaps other religions. And then you have this religion attacking this religion. Oh, they attacked us first. Oh, they attacked us first. So I think now is the time for our religious leaders to come together and preach peace. And tolerance is very important. So once again, I would say conclusively that I think we need there's never been a time to call for peace and to call for tolerance and to call for unity as now, using our voices, using our platforms to advocate for peace. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it's just turning and turning and turning, and Nigerians are just looking at who is the next person to fall victim.
On The Breakfast, less than 8 weeks to the general elections, more than 6.7 million Nigerians have not collected their permanent voters' cards. We'll be having a conversation with an INEC official. Also on The Breakfast, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it has established policies to address the persistent naira depreciation. And don't forget, we'll also be looking through today's newspapers, analyzing the biggest stories of the day. Welcome to The Breakfast and Plus TV Africa. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, and it feels really great to know that you're here with us, right? My name is Mercy Bokpo. As always, we start off our conversation with top trending, and top on the list for us this morning is that there's also another concern with ASUU. So ASUU is protesting, not necessarily getting to the street, but we hope that this does not, result to another action, probably say strike action and what have you. The head of the ASUU chapter at the Federal University of Technology, Minna, has confirmed that the government had not sent the check-off dues for November 2022 salaries. So if you're asking what, check-off due is the money removed from an employee's pay for membership in a union or in an organization, and of course, talking about representation of a worker in a particular industry. And so that's why this conversation is ongoing. But we need to establish that there's ASUU, there's KONOA. I think that might be the issue. One of the issues. So you also have the head. This is one chapter of the union that's making this complaint. I know that over time you have ASUU, a different point, talking about this due that's been deducted and the government is not remitting. So they have said that despite the pro rata salaries that were paid off for the month of November, those who got their pay slip observed that the check-off dues and cooperative dues were deducted, but the issue is that the account of ASUU was not credited. Government has given a justification for this decision, and they say that constitutionally there's a provision of the Trade Union Act, Section 37, subsection 1, that says that every year, every other time, annually, ASUU must render an account of money remitted to the body. Well, and they say that all ASUU member gets a monthly deduction. So in this case now, ASUU has not, submitted that audit. I mean, they submitted that report, and that's why this is actually ongoing. However, all ASUU members is expected to get a monthly deduction, which is usually given to ASUU every month to run the secretariat. They also submit an audited report of their money annually, just like I mentioned, for a period of time, And so this is the complaint. Well, the reactions and the conversations have continued, and I think that these are lecturers, these are persons who are very displeased with the entire system and the entire process. It's like a two-way thing. Now that you have ASUU and you have KONOA, whose side do you have to go to? I mean, is it compulsory? Association, being a member of this union, is it mandatory? Is it voluntary? What happens? 2% is what is deducted, from the entire package. It's not on, the particular salary. Some persons have said that it's a shame that ASUU leadership is complaining about the federal government not remitting into its own account the check of dues of members deducted from November's salaries. Why is government deducting the check from members? This is also another part of the conversation. Rather than allowing members to choose where to belong, is it ASUU or KONOA? They have registered that, we're talking about now. They have to decide, where they belong. But if only they're allowed to say, hey, it's reasonable to get here or get to the other part. I think that prior to this time, because also in 2020, ASUU members of the union had complained about the deduction that's been ongoing, and they had said that you can't deduct 2% from salary. This is a conversation that has been going on with the union, right? Members of the union, and they complain very well, saying you cannot deduct.
More this season news update. Commuters in Lagos are still groaning over the lingering fuel scarcity, which has resulted in long queues at various filling stations, as well as hiking transport fares. Plus TV News correspondent Emmanuel Olubabakun feels the pulse of residents and what they have to go through to get the product.
The long fare queues have been persistent since late 2022. Alarmingly, the situation has not abated this new year. With the month of January in its third week, one thing is visible: the vehicular traffic which the state is known for. However, residents are not happy with the state of affairs as the fuel crisis is seemingly unending.
I'm very, very sad and not happy about this fuel scarcity. Since last week, yesterday I came here, I was that NSS, but I spent 5 hours before I got this fuel. I don't know what is happening with this fuel, which I'm not happy. And today again, I came again. Since 7 o'clock, I've been in queue. And now it's almost 5 hours. I've not gotten. So what is happening with Nigeria?
The queue over 3 hours now. They'll be on queue. So how will I feel where? So something that's supposed to enter under 10 minutes and I'm on queue over 3 hours. So I'm not okay at all.
Fuel scarcity is too much. I've been going around like now. I still at Aja, but this is where I'm coming to buy for, because the other side there is so much queue. So it's not easy for us to get fuel. So things are really difficult.
The lamentations continue as the scarcity always takes a toll on economic activities. Unsurprisingly, transport fares and prices of commodities have skyrocketed.
Transport price stay the way it is, because if you ask the transporter, they will tell you it's because of the fuel. The price they're buying fuel. And to me, from my experience, even the government also said they don't know anything about fuel. I mean, they have not increased fuel and fuel is out there. Why the masses have said they don't see fuel buy, like it's scarce for them to buy, they have to add money.
This fuel scarcity started since December. It's been so high. Like now, from this Falomo roundabout to Lakwe is 1,000 naira. Before you can get it 500, 600, but now 1,000 naira. Except you beg and beg and beg before they can collect 800 naira. That is if you meet a nice people.
People who doesn't have car, even to get a vehicle to their destinations is very hard for them, and the bus drivers are not really even doing well. But although we don't blame them because the fuel price is higher, so the transportation fare is high. So things are really difficult.
Many independent marketers are selling between 250 naira and 300 naira per litre at different locations, while major marketers sell at about 170 naira to 190 naira per litre, leaving long queues behind. However, one question still lingers: when will the end to the continuous fuel scarcity come? Emmanuel Olubabakun, Plus TV News.
And following the increase in the pump price of fuel from 179 naira per litre to 194 naira per litre, fuel scarcity has persisted in Kaduna and its metropolis. Several filling stations which have adjusted their pump prices are locked as they do not have petrol to sell. Although some independent marketers increased their pump price to between 200 naira and 300 naira per litre, and motorist tricycles and commercial bus drivers have continued to patronize them. Chairman of the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, Moman Olumide Adeosun, had earlier called for gradual deregulation of the sector, adding that he feared the current supply framework could not guarantee steady and consistent supplies to the country, given the current state of government finances and unpredictable international supply shortages. And a federal high court in Abuja on Friday vacated an interim forfeiture of 40 landed properties granted against the former Deputy Senate President, Senator Ike Ekweremadu. And Justice Inyangeko vacated the order following a discovery that the forfeiture order was fraudulently obtained by the federal government against the properties. And the judge, while lifting the order, held that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, which obtained the order on behalf of the federal government, concealed information that led to granting aid. Specifically, Justice Ekwe said that EFCC, which was fully aware that Ekweremadu was in custody in the United Kingdom, failed to make the vital information available to the court. With his detention in London, the judge agreed with Chief Adegboyega Awomolo SAN, counsel to Ekweremadu, that there was no way the former Deputy Senate President will be opportune to defend his ownership of the disputed properties. Justice Ekwe had on November 4 last year issued the interim forfeiture order in favor of the federal government following an ex parte application brought before him by the EFCC. And barely 1 week after the spare parts market at Araromi, Ibadan was gutted by fire, another market has been razed overnight at Bashoru, and many shops were gutted by the fire that reportedly started late Thursday night at the market. Men of the fire service have put out the fire as traders scrambled to salvage what is left. And a first-class paramount ruler of Agwa Izere, His Royal Highness Dr. Isaac Azi Waziri, who was abducted at his palace in the Sherry district of Jos East in the early hours of Friday, has been rescued by security operatives. Gunmen suspected to be bandits kidnapped the paramount ruler at his palace situated in Sherry district around 3 a.m. Chairman of Jos East Council area, Ezekiel Ezang, who confirmed the incident, said the gunmen invaded the community and began shooting sporadically before gaining access to the palace. And heavily armed men suspected to be kidnappers have again kidnapped a traditional ruler in Taraba State. The traditional ruler, Sani Suleiman Duna, who was kidnapped around 1 a.m. on Friday alongside his 2 wives and 6 children. The gunmen were said to have taken over the monarch's palace after they had successfully scared the community's residents with sporadic gunshots. At the time of filing this report, the kidnappers had not reached out to the family to demand ransom. And also confirming the abduction of the monarch and his family members, the State Command Police Public Relations Officer, Usman Abdullahi, the command vows to leave no stone unturned in rescuing the monarch and his entire family that were kidnapped. And meanwhile, the Enugu chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has been thrown into mourning over the demise of acting chairman of the party in Udi local government area, Mr. SKB Ogbuagu. Ogbuagu was said to have collapsed during a town hall meeting of the Enugu Guber candidate, Barrister Peter Arumba, at Eziago local government area. And towards the end of the rally, the chairman, said to be an asthmatic patient, had a crisis. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where he gave up the ghost. And news from other parts of Africa, at least 145 passengers are missing after a motorized boat overloaded with goods and animals sank overnight in a river in the northwestern Democratic Republic of Congo. And about 55 people survived the disaster. The boat was heading for neighboring Republic of Congo when it capsized on the Lulonga River on Tuesday night near the town of Basankusu. Jean-Pierre Wangela, president of civil society groups in the region, told reporters that at least 145 people were missing. And Sudanese protesters have tried to march into parliament but were intercepted by security forces who fired tear gas and water hoses at the crowd. The protesters are marching against last month's deal between Sudan's coup leader and the main pro-democracy group to establish a civilian-led transitional government following the 2021 military takeover. Thursday's protest was led by the Resistance Committees, a grassroots group that has steadfastly rejected any negotiations with Sudan's military leaders, General Abdel Fattah Burhan and General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo. I'm moving on to news outside Africa. Kosovo's emergency authorities have rescued several hundred people from their flooded homes as heavy rains caused water levels to rise in rivers in the western and northern parts of the country. And drone footage shows flooded villages, some buildings with water up to their roofs. And Jane Janaj, a resident of Cleaner, walked through his flooded house, showing the damage to his kitchen. Another resident, Frok Ndrekhaj, blames the flooding on the closure of a nearby drainage channel. And now on business news, an AFDB has said that energy subsidies contribute to energy insecurity in Africa due to their distortionary nature in its macroeconomic performance and outlook for 2023. The African Development Bank, AFDB, said that energy subsidies are one of the reasons why Africa experiences energy insecurity. The AFDB informs in its 2023 Africa's Macroeconomic and Performance Outlook Report, which was released on Thursday, January 19. In the report, the African Development Bank explained that energy subsidies are controversial due to their distortionary nature. And this is despite the fact that energy subsidies are most available and essential fiscal and political tools that governments on the continent, used to protect households against potential welfare losses arising from food and energy prices and other exogenous shocks. And right now, an entertainment news award-winning Nigerian songwriter, filmmaker JJC said he has reverted to Islam, his former religion. In an Instagram post, he shared a singer who was originally born in Islam, which he dumped for his mother's faith, revealed that he was lost before, but he's now found. JJC said it was God's design for him to embrace Islam. And last in sports news, third seed Stefanos Tsitsipas made short work of Dutchman Talon Griekspoor, winning 6-2, 7-6, 6-3 to reach the fourth round of the Australian Open on Friday. Playing in glorious sunshine after 2 days marked by wild swings in the weather, the highest seeded man in the draw after the premature exits of holder Rafa Nadal and Casper Ruud played near flawless tennis to the delight of Greek fans in the Rod Laver Arena. And Tsitsipas has not dropped a set in the tournament as he chases a maiden Grand Slam. Roared on by Greek fans, Tsitsipas eased through the next set without any drama to set up a clash with 21-year-old Italian Jannik Sinner. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on www.limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Destiny Momo. Many thanks for watching.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
an unusual year for us all. We've been forced to learn to adapt to the changes that COVID-19 has brought upon us. However the cards may have been dealt to us this year, we have remained resilient. The Afrima Fashion Show stems from the Afrima Awards Show, which is the biggest African award show in the diaspora. Every year, we have showcased designers and we bring together people from all over the world. This year, the Afrima Runway is graced by the top 3 African designers who have welcomed the challenge of doing a virtual runway show without any physical audience. Don Murphy, Ese Ezanabo, and lastly, Sai Sanko. Let the show begin.
Hi guys, my name is Sai Sankar and I am a luxury resort wear designer and I make the most amazing and fabulous kaftans and everything that you desire for traveling. I just really love the way women carried themselves back then, you know, the Marilyn Monroes, you know. It was sexy, but there was still glamour to it, you know, and elegance and sophistication. And I feel that's what my designs are about, you know. I've also been inspired just by my continent, the continent of Africa. Growing up in Sierra Leone, it's just this beautiful, bustling colors, you know, it's so vibrant, the marketplaces, you know, Christmas, it's just, everything about it is just so energetic and it's so powerful and colorful and it just makes me really happy. And so no matter what collection I do, it always goes back to that. And so that's why you see all this colorful prints and all these bold colors, you know. I feel women wearing it, it just makes them so extremely happy, you know, and they look absolutely gorgeous in it too.
My name is Ese Grambowski, and I am the designer and owner for Ese Ezanabo Atelier. My source of inspiration for my designs, number one, to be honest, comes from God, because I go to sleep literally and dream about my designs. And that only has to be from God. So I always give credit to him for that. And of course, my culture is very influenced in my design. I've been designing since I was 8 years old. Even before that, my mom would tell me wild stories of me taking her fabrics and cutting them into pieces and making a dress or a skirt or pants out of her expensive African materials that she had in our home back in Nigeria when I was growing up. And I draw a lot of inspirations from where I've been, and I just try to tie them into modern design mixed with vintage designs, mixed with traditional looks, and just tie it all together in a bowl to create a true Ese Ezenabor couture piece.
Hello, my name is Daniel Mofo. I'm the founder and designer of Don Murphy, a men's luxury custom suit clothing in Dallas, Texas. Fashion is color. In the past, men were all very scared of, the colors. They were used to the blacks, the grays. But now, if you look at fashion, men wear almost bolder colors than women, You see men in red suits, men in yellow suits, men in pink suits. So for me, fashion is color.
is expressive. So when I just wake up and have an idea and I create something out of that idea, it's God showing off. So that's what it is for me.
I've always been a little bit shy, but when it comes to fashion, I will wear anything and I will wear it with confidence. And so for me, that is a way of expressing myself, you know? And I feel it also is the same thing for a lot of women.
African for me means community. It means living together. If you look at Africans, they're all talking about the different countries in Africa. You know, it's all about our community. So for me, Africa means community. It means living together.
Hello, compliments of the season and Happy New Year. You're welcome to Plus Events, your favorite social diary show that brings the best and biggest events to your screen. I am Antonia Oshili, and in today's show, we have 3 lovely events lined up for you. Now, in the spirit of Christmas, the Redeemed Christian Church of God, RCCG, reached out to people in a charity fair. The event, which took place at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere, Lagos, had the General Overseer of the church, Pastor Enoch Adejare Adeboye, and other ministers in attendance. Plus TV Africa was there to cover the event.
It was all joy as the multitudes in this main bowl celebrated Christmas in praises and dancing. In this Christmas message, the General Overseer, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, spoke about Jesus Christ being a perfect gift to mankind.
I'm going to say, Lord, give me a Christmas present. Something big that I want you to do for me today. The second one, you ask him for a New Year present. You ask these 2 things and you will pray.
Other clergies expressed hope for the coming year.
Jesus is alive. Jesus was brought and he has come so that we can be set free. Free from anything called sorrow, free from bondage, free from any form of lack. Free so that we can have joy and a future. The whole world is rejoicing, and we know that for as long as we have Jesus, all will be well. In the name of Jesus. We heard it from the man of God.
When you talk about gift, we have gifts. But this gift of Christ is indescribable. So great, so mighty. Even knowing Christ is the best thing that can happen to anyone in life. It can transform, it can give a new life, and it can give everything.
My takeaway with a prophet like a daddy, from daddy, if it meant staying the whole day to get that father's blessing and that message, I would have sat down here to get it. And it was a real blessing to me. That Papa said, the Papa that God honors is asking me to make a request from the Lord. I got a perfect gift. 2023 is here already. We have hope. We are the children of God. We have hope in our Father. And we're seeing 2023 by His grace.
Food items and others were distributed earlier in the day by the welfare arm of RCCG.
Now, still in the spirit of the festive season, a group, Akoka Compassionate Initiative, has reached out to the needy in its community. The event, which was held in the Yaba area of Lagos State, had over 500 people in attendance.
Men, women, and young adults gather at this venue. They have come to benefit from the demonstration of love of the pioneers of the Akoka Compassionate Initiative at this annual giveaway. Shegun Adesanya is the project manager of the initiative. He is hopeful of increased support.
We started with about 10, and last year we did 200 people. And this year we are doing 500 this year. And for me, we pray that the Lord will increase us next year. And it's our belief that the Lord will increase everybody, the donors and everybody, so that I've said it, I have announced it. We are going to do 750 next year.
The guest speaker, Professor Taibat Lawansin, and the chairman of the fundraising committee of the group, explained why the gesture is important during this period. They spoke alongside a member of the committee.
Akoka CDA is a community that hosts the University of Lagos, and we have a close working relationship with the community, and we are very proud of what they're doing, because this indeed is what the spirit of community is: bringing people together, looking out for those who need a helping hand, and working together to move, the community forward. Like I said earlier, a community that thrives is a precursor for national building, national development.
The funds for this was actually raised within the community. We didn't go to corporate bodies, we didn't go to governments. We went to people within the community, those who had, and they have a little extra. They actually made it happen. I mean, looking at the smiles on people's faces, looking at the crowd that is here today, you come to the conclusion that this is a good thing to do, and they would like to repeat it again and again, as long as we have life.
We just want to extend the loving hand to people around us, of course, not only women or men, even children. We made provision for 500 people, and as it is now, we have over 500. We have to do more.
The beneficiaries expressed delight, urging well-meaning Nigerians to support such gestures.
I hope there can be continuity, and everyone that arranged this program, thanks to everyone and the Akoka community as a whole.
I'm really excited. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it for their work. So I'm just happy, Sha. I appreciate it.
I pray to them that God will continue to uplift them, and all members of the CDA. I pray that by this time next year, they shall be reaping the goodness of their reward of their goodness in manifold.
The high point of the event was the distribution of food items to the beneficiaries.
And finally, on this episode of Plus Events, family and friends of Adebayo Oluwake gathered to honor him as he retired from the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, in Nigeria. Now, the event attracted professionals and government officials, among which were the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to President Muhammadu Buhari, Femi Adesina, and also Managing Director of Plus TV Africa, Lekan Ogumbawo. His colleagues, among others, were there.
Known faces from the media industry and in public service were seen in the hall. Other professionals, family and friends also graced the occasion. The event was in honor of one of Nigeria's diplomat and humanitarian, Mr. Adebayo Oluwake, as he announced his retirement with a book titled The Journey of a Passport on the Road of Humanity. Mr. Oluwake, who has spent close to 2 decades of his career serving the country in different capacities, talked about his sojourn.
I am very, very proud to say by the time I was leaving, and again it's in my book, I left 13 Nigerians occupying important international positions with the International Committee of the Red Cross. I thank God for the opportunity that He gave to me and for keeping me hale and hearty. When I left secondary school, my ambition was to become a journalist. I think I did become one. And if you buy my book, you see, throughout my comments, I'm going to be promoting my book. If you buy my book, you will understand why, and how that happened. But after university, I thought I should become a lecturer. I actually had a very great improvement in my grades because I had been Student Union President in UI, of all places. And when you are president, you hardly go to class. Some of you know what I mean. So I got the basic minimum I needed to go to my final year. So I just focused on my book in my final year. And my head of department, the late Professor Anda, those of you from Victory Baptist Church, you know our brother Anda, that's his elder brother. Professor Anda said, this young man has done so well, we need to give him a second offer. But his other colleagues said no. If he wanted a second offer, he wouldn't have gone to be Student Union President. But anyway, I was so interested in academia, but in any case, by the time I left Ibadan, however, I found myself working as corporate affairs manager in the petroleum marketing industry. But I was still burning to be a lecturer, a researcher. So I left. And I started engaging with this think tank. And it was in that process that I met the International Committee of the Red Cross. At that time, we had a conflict in Liberia and Sierra Leone. And most of the time, the ICRC would ask for my opinion about what was happening. I also had links with the Nigerian Armed Forces. And some of my friends were involved either as commanding operations there. So I could also help facilitate the work of the Red Cross with the ECOMOG forces. So that was, you can see the link between me and the Red Cross, how it started. And then, strangely at some point, the International Committee of the Red Cross, let me not jump. After I went to the ICRC, the office of the Nigerian Red Cross used to be in Ikoyi, the headquarters. And there you had the International Committee of the Red Cross, the Nigerian Red Cross, and what we call the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. So after I went to see the ICRC, I was doing a research actually. I went to interview people there. So I found Nigerian Red Cross. So I walked into Nigerian Red Cross office. What do you people do? I've known the Red Cross, I know, in school, but I was really interested at what they were doing at the headquarters. Ofomo Obodo, the late Ofomo Obodo, may he so rest in peace. He was Secretary General. was Secretary General of the Nigerian Red Cross, and we became very close. There was Alhaji Shehu Musa, the late Alhaji Shehu Musa, who used to be Secretary to the governments of the Federation. He was chairman of the Nigerian Red Cross. And I got introduced to the Red Cross. I got to know, and I said, listen, I want to contribute. You are doing such a wonderful job. I really want to, just ask me for anything. To cut a long story short, because this boy told me I have 10 minutes, I was later encouraged to contest for a position on the governance board. So I was elected as National Information Advisor of the Nigerian Red Cross, and I served in that capacity. And it was later on that the International Committee of the Red Cross came for me and said, you have to work with us. I never wrote an application for the International Committee of the Red Cross. There was satisfaction, there was also frustration. The frustration was largely because thousands of people need help, but unfortunately, even as humanitarians, we are only able to support only a few. And we use the word, the most vulnerable. So we are not always able to help everybody. And sometimes the security situation might make it so difficult that we can't even reach certain people. But working during the Nepalese conflict, Sierra Leonean conflict, post-election violence in Kenya, collapse of the economy of Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, we had cholera almost every 6 months, cholera outbreak. So imagine also the kind of dangerous environment we were. Armed conflicts in Sudan and South Sudan, responding to the consequences of the conflict between the DRC and M23 in DRC, which spills into Uganda, as well as the crisis in Somalia, the humanitarian challenges imposed by the prevailing situation in Indian-administered Kashmir. Some of you have heard of Kashmir. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, my last mission in the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. The Syrian conflict as well. So I played my little part together with my colleagues, and God saw me through. I covered 17 countries in the course of those functions, and I did a calculation, because when I started my first mission, we had a Dutch doctor who was retiring, and he did something that surprised me. When we were sending him off, he told us exactly how many kilometers he covered in his ICRC mission. And I'm like, how did he do that? So when I was retiring, I started backtracking and calculating everywhere I have been as well. And I could, without any doubt, I covered not less than 500,000 kilometers. Wow. And then I remembered Apostle Paul, you know, in all of these missions. 2 Corinthians 11:26, it says, and I quote, in journeys often, in perils of waters, in perils of robbers, in perils by the heathen, in perils in the city, in perils in the wilderness, in perils in the sea, in perils among false brethren. God saw him through. I'm not Apostle Paul, of course you know that. But there are some similarities with, that verse, and I thank God. And I also had my fair share of medical challenges. If you read my book, you will see. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is that my doctor is supposed to be here. He told me he had a procedure this morning, but he was going to come, Dr. Wagabu. And this point is very important, because I also learned from that. You know, we often say that our medical system in Nigeria has collapsed, and so nothing works and all that. I have had the same doctor since 2004. He knows my entire medical history.
The humanitarian, however, dismissed insinuations about him going into full-time politics.
No, I think I'm more useful to my country and to the continent, because I worked a lot across many African countries. I made a lot of friends in government, in the military, in the diplomatic community in those African countries. So I believe strongly that I have something to contribute in helping to advance development on the continent.
His better half of decades, Oluwatoyin Oluwake, shared our experience of how tough it was coping without her husband, who was always moving from one diplomatic duty to the other across the globe.
Initially, it was tough because when the children were young, and I had to stay back to take care of the children. But the minute the youngest two, as the twins, got into university, I started traveling with him. I wish him the very best. I wish him renewed strength. He's been a very considerate man. He's a kind person. And I'm trusting that the Lord would enlarge his course. He sacrificed a lot for us, the children and I. And I'm praying that the Lord in his own way will reward him.
Their daughters, Sheung and Shola, took turns to play their roles at the book event.
His areas of interest are development, public communication and humanitarian diplomacy, international humanitarian law, security architectures, and post-conflict reconstruction. He is married to Oluwatoyin, and they have left with 3 beautiful children.
Flexibility and impact, and enabled us to actualize Jeremy's vision and our operations in a more clear and impactful way, building on the bold initiatives that Mary Went had taken.
Unending encomiums were poured on Mr. Oluwake by his contemporaries, who shared their experiences with the journalist come humanitarian.
I am glad to be a friend to Mr. Oluwake. This is not the first book that he will write that I'll read. He has sent me one before which I read, and I look forward to reading this one. All the support that he needs post-retirement.
Bio is everybody's bio. This is a man who has used his God-given brains for this country.
Yes.
And he doesn't have a national award yet. And if there's any Nigerian to be proud of, his name is Bayo Oluwake.
The high point of the event was the unveiling of the 158-paged book.
2 and 1. Thank you so much, everyone.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode today. I hope you enjoyed the events on the show. Remember, if you want to showcase your events to the world, Plus Events is the place for you. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Plus TV Africa, and do subscribe to our YouTube channels at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Antonia Oshili. Once again, Happy New Year. Thanks for watching.
Sometimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
Photography for me was more a means of expression than, at the beginning, than a source of income, you know. Luckily for me, my fine arts career had picked up, so I was making a living as a painter while developing the passion for photography. So that gave me the opportunity, you know, to stand my ground and beat out a path, you know, towards the mastery of my craft and then become, the Kelechi Amadiobi that you people know today. It's all about insisting that my work had to be excellent. You see, I always tell people, do not chase success. You attract success by developing yourself. So when you apply yourself, you learn new ways, you improve your learning, you practice what you've learned. Once you improve yourself, then you add more value to the world, and then the world has no choice than to add financial value.
It took me 2 years to set up my house. I have to support my son. I have to do some things for my siblings, my younger ones. So it took me 2 years. I was making money by then. I was saving money, going to locations, but I was using a Nokia phone. I don't get carried away with anything. I don't want to stay in Lekki by force. I decided to keep my dignity against all odds. But during this period, a lot of people mocked me. How can you be staying in Obawole, Iju Shaga? Do what you can afford. Don't pass your boundary. Don't try to impress anybody. Live within your means.
Back then, when I was schooling in University of Jos, I was making music with them, Jesse Jags, Ice Prince, and everybody, Jeremiah Gang. I didn't have a laptop. And I remember Chopsticks had one laptop that he wasn't using, but he was looking for how to sell it. So he could gather money and go back to school, and so I told him that, give me this laptop, let me just borrow it. And before the next day, I zoomed to Lagos. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but I needed a laptop so bad to get my music going. And I think that's one downtime story that I've actually never told anybody. Things might be difficult, things might look like it's not gonna happen. People might even look at you like you don't know what the hell you're doing, but just as long as you know that you have your particular goal that you're trying to achieve, just stay focused with it. Do whatever seems possible, do whatever it takes to get to it. Because at the end of the day, winning is all that matters. Winning is all people care about. So make sure you go out there and just win. That's all.
I loved storytelling. Every time I watched a film or every time I was in stage acting, I would come alive, and I sort of knew that was what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. That was what would bring me fulfillment. But the reality was I was a third-year student in a University of Technology studying chemical engineering. So I decided to quit. I decided to drop out of school. It was a struggle. No one wanted to listen to me. My family thought I was going crazy. Someone, my older brother thought I was smoking something. But I tried to convince them and no one listened to me. So what I did was to try and finish. So I went back to school, finished my engineering course, and by then I had almost forgot my dream to be in entertainment. So what happened was I served, got into an engineering firm, oil and gas, and I became an engineer, going offshore, going to the field. But, the dream started to come alive again. I'd watch movies, I'd get invited to on set by my friends, and that spark started to burn again. I started to see myself doing things, acting films, telling stories, and I couldn't sleep at night. I would dream and imagine myself in the entertainment world, and I'd come alive. So I decided I'd quit my job. And I walked back to my seat. I said goodbye to oil and gas and engineering, and I focused and faced entertainment, and that's how I got to where I am today.
To be honest, I don't want to give anybody a hope it's some easy thing to do. But rest, man. Okay, firstly, when you rest, then you pray. And that's real, man. It's not because I'm not even a church goer or anything, but this is real. It's because there's a power that is beyond you that works for you if you accept it or decide to go in that direction. So, for me, what works for me, what has worked for me, Buju, Daniel Benson, is I'll just kneel down and I'll tell God, this was popping and I want him to change it. Before I went into music, to be honest, in church, my mom forced me to church. So I go down on my knees and I tell God I want to go into music because I don't know what I'm doing in my life. And I started making music. I was in 300 level IT, I was working. They were making me do carry files from places to places. And I was studying computer science technology in quotes. And I'm like, this is not making any sense. Then going back to school and knowing I can't make music while being in school because of the hustle and bustle and everything. So I leave school and I take that decision upon myself to become something with my gift, because the Bible says your gift will make room for you. So it works, man. If there's anything you want to take from that, you can take that, but that's what works for me, my G.
Oftentimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. I'm your host, Morimi Akon. Our guest today is Chinyere Okorocha, a lawyer, keynote speaker, a career coach and mentor, and an author. As a lawyer for over 30 years, she specializes and is recognized as an expert in intellectual property law, where she helps people and corporations legally protect their brand names and other intangible assets from unauthorized use. As a career coach and mentor, she founded and runs a career mentorship program called Heels and Ladders Career Mentorship Club, where she helps smart female professionals achieve accelerated career growth. With over 30 years to her credit, building a successful legal career, 25 years as a wife, and 24 years as a mom, she has had the privilege of navigating the difficult terrain of being a female professional, a wife, and a mother. She sits on the board of ethics of a renowned hospital chain in Nigeria. She is also on the advisory board as a consultant to the Healthcare Federation of Nigeria, as well as a member of the World Association for Medical Law. In the course of her career, she has received various appointments and recognitions, including rankings from Who is Who Legal, Chambers Global and Managing Intellectual Property, to mention but a few. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Moremi. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Yes.
How can one marry the concept of business and the legal profession?
Oh, I mean, that's a fantastic question. The truth of the matter is the origins of legal practice are almost like a social enterprise where services were provided absolutely free. Okay. But as the law evolved, it became very clear that legal services needed to be paid for, and a lot of lawyers have now transited into being full-fledged businesses. And so unlike in the past when you had like sole practitioner, who just did the law, you have huge law firms that have up to 200, 300 people who have all the business principles in place within the law firm. So there'll be a marketing team, a business development team, HR is separate, you would have finance department, buying and selling of the services is a big deal. And then all the trainings, that anybody in a corporation would have. And those are the most successful law firms today. So I can tell you without any iota of doubt that law is indeed a business. And all those business principles apply to the big conglomerates, apply to the successful 21st century law firm.
So would you think, or would you say that, or rather would you advise that some principles of business. I know in law there's business law and all that, but it doesn't really,
It
treat
doesn't
the
treat
business
principles,
aspect.
how to run a business.
So would you advise that be included into a curriculum for lawyers?
Absolutely. I mean, I am the vice chairperson of the Nigeria Bar Association Women's Forum. And one of the trainings we do for female lawyers is to introduce the business principles, into the trainings that we do. And I dare say we actually intend to make a presentation to the Nigerian Law School to amend their curriculum to include these business principles in the curriculum at an early age. Because what happens is lawyers, you can open your own law firm from the minute you're called to the bar, but you have no business skills.
So let's talk about running a profitable law firm. I know that in law, you're not allowed to advertise your services. Bearing that in mind, and the practice of law itself, how can I run a profitable law firm?
Okay, so I work in a law firm called Jackson, Etienne Edu. We're one of the larger law firms in Nigeria. And what we found with time is that, yes, you can't advertise your services, but you can tell your story. So if you were doing work for a client, you're subject to the fiduciary relationship between, or confidentiality is a word, that you'd better understand. You could, after the deal is done, publish the facts that you acted for that client in a huge deal. And you put it out in your social space and in the newspapers. And then other people see you and say, oh, if they did it for that person, they can do it for me. Yeah. Do you understand? And then the social media space is so vibrant today. So you have LinkedIn where you put out information about your firm, telling your story, saying the fantastic things you're doing, the conferences you're organizing, thought leaderships that you've produced, how you've advised the government, helped to change policy. And then there's your website, where you are allowed to put all this information, and push it out there. So you're not really advertising. The thing about advertising is telling people, they shouldn't use another, maybe bad mouthing, or saying you're the best thing, since sliced bread. But what you're doing in this current dispensation is telling your story of the things and activities that you are embarking upon, which endear you to would-be clients. And that way, you can make a name for yourself. Indeed, even personal branding, apart from the law firm as it's, on its own, the various lawyers get to tell their stories, and it's not seen as advertising.
So let's talk about then running the law firm. So I have everything in place. How do I run it to ensure that I make money?
Okay, so the firm where I'm working is 25, it will be 26 this year, and I joined Jackson Etienne Edu from day one. And we've grown from just about 6 people, 6 lawyers, to over 70 lawyers in the law firm today, and a support staff of about 200. So if you were to mention the top 5 law firms in Nigeria today, we will be mentioned. So I've seen us grow through the ranks. So it takes dedication, and it takes teamwork. No one person has all the answers. You rely on each other. Some people have certain strengths. Some people are better at marketing. Some people are more technically inclined. Some people are better client-facing. So you find people with diverse characteristics or traits, and you come together as a team, and you make it happen. That's how to run a successful law firm. Team is everything. And then if you reinvest the money that you're making back into the business in terms of infrastructure, IT, I guess your public image and all that, as well as doing things that would attract the clients like symposiums, throwing out the thought leadership there, making sure you have an accounts department that takes care of the money and makes sure you get paid. I think that's the way to go. Another thing that makes a successful law firm, like I have said, is taking trainings that are not legal trainings. You have to learn how to become an entrepreneur if you want to run a successful law firm today. So I can tell you for free, I've done accounting for non-accountants, I've done sales and marketing training, I've done what's that one? A high efficiency training, all sorts of things that are not necessarily legal. If you can do that, you invariably get those business skills that you need in order to run a successful business, increase your knowledge. Obviously, your knowledge of the law is taken for granted. And if you can do all that, I assure you, your practice will thrive.
Then, yeah, you're
Because
gonna be
there's so many
profitable.
people in the world. You understand, Nigeria alone, we're over 200 million. Then you think of the international community. There are not enough lawyers to service everybody. So there's work. There's enough work for us all, I think.
Okay, so let's still talk about legal talk.
Okay.
As an intellectual property lawyer,
Yes.
or let's say expert,
Yes.
tell us about some interesting facts about IP.
Okay, so intellectual property, which is my core practice area and what I'm known for, is just property of the mind. So it's anything you can use your human intellect to create. So it's about creativity. So there are two main headings for intellectual property. I'm breaking it down to the barest minimum. There's copyright on the one side that everybody knows about. So there you have the creative industry, musicians, broadcasters like you, like your Plus TV. Then you have the actors and actresses. Then you have literary works. So people who do their novels and all that, it's from their intellect. Think about it. Then even architectural works are also covered under copyright. And so the law allows you to protect that creation and exclude others from having the benefit unless you give them what we call a license. And then the other hand, remember we're defining intellectual property, you have what we call the industrial property. And that's where you have trademarks, which are the names of products that you see in the marketplace. So Plus TV is a trademark, and so many others, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I said ladies talking business.
Absolutely, you know. And then you have the patents. The patents are inventions that are methods of carrying out certain acts. It can be the formula in your medicine, the formula in the drinks we see around us, the engine of a car or a TV. All those are patents, the type of patents. Very difficult, but they must be new. They must be novel. You know, for you to get the protection, no one else should have done it, or an improvement on an existing one. And then you have the designs, which are the shapes of objects. I'm looking around me, looking for anything I can use an example. So it's a 2 or 3 dimensional shape. And then newer types of IP include the domain names. So you have the .ng.com, you know, and then more recently you have the artificial intelligence. You have IP issues around Bitcoin, you know, and cryptocurrency, you know, so it's really interesting. And I find IP so interesting because it's all around us. So I always like to use the analogy of someone in their house who wakes up from sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, you jump out of bed, head into the bathroom, you know, to shower. You use a shower gel that has a name. You use a which is IP. You use toothpaste, and then you might switch on the TV and say, I want to watch Plus TV today. You switch it on. Plus TV is a trademark. The broadcast coming in is IP. The TV set you're looking at is branded. Then you wear your clothes. Your clothes are made by a particular label. Your shoes, your bags, all branded. All these are types of intellectual property. Then you want to have your breakfast and you pick up your cereal, it's branded. You understand? Or anything you want to eat, it be sausages or whatever. And then you enter your car. You haven't left your house. You can imagine how many IP types of IP we've mentioned. If you have a headache, you take something for it. That's a patent. And then you get to your car. Your car is branded. You get into the car and you put on the radio stations. Then the different stations.
IP is everywhere.
It's everywhere. There's no part of the industry, you know, in the world today that doesn't have an IP element. And I find it so exciting that when I'm driving on the road, I see all the billboards, I see the, you know, everything branding, and I find it really exciting.
Amazing. We'll talk more about this shortly.
Wonderful.
We will go on a quick break now. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. You are still watching Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. And my guest is still Chinyere Okorocha. So let's talk about career, mentorship, because I know you're a coach. So as someone who mentors business women and career women, what steps can one take to achieve accelerated career growth?
Okay, I particularly mentor women and coach women, and I was indebted to that by my own journey. So I think it's very important when women are climbing up the career ladder to be able to find their voices. A lot of women are silent. They don't know who they are. You know, a lot of the time you enter a room and you want the floor to open and you go under it. You know, so confidence is important when you're trying to go up the ladder, and confidence comes from knowledge. So if you're in a position where you can make a difference, but you don't speak, you have to find a way to infuse confidence in yourself. So that would be the first thing I would say. And confidence comes from knowing your stuff. If you know your stuff, you've done your training, you know you have what it takes to service, both within your organization and with the clients, as we as lawyers say, then you will grow. The second thing is to realize that you can't do it on your own. Especially, you know, when you're transitioning from being a young woman, then you get married, and then the kids start coming. The mistake a lot of us make is that we kind of think that we can do everything, you know, so you're struggling on the home front with the children and the husband, and you come to work and, you know, sometimes you just can't keep up the pace. And many women have had to drop out of the work environment just to take care of the home. But recognizing very early that you have to look for help, you know, and that help, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to, you know, pay someone. It can be a family member, it can be your mother, mother-in-law, a sister from the village. I remember when I had my first child, every day we pack the whole thing of the little girl and take her to my sister's house. You know, she stays there during work, and then after work I go and pick her. You know, ideally, it's good to have a driver, a nanny, a cook, or whatever, but not everybody can afford that. So within your own means, recognize that there are resources around you that you can use, even fellow colleagues in the office that can step in for you. You know, when you need to go to school for a child, for Parents' Giving Day or Sports Day or whatever it is, you know. Another thing I also always tell women is that you should learn to delegate and learn how to say no. So a lot of the time we get overwhelmed with so much, you know, you just don't want to say no because you think you're going to be victimized. But you have to set boundaries, even in the workplace. You have to be able to recognize that you can't do it all and use the resources around you to delegate to other people, you know. We have that thing in us that if it's not me that does it, you know, anybody else will make it, you know, make a mistake. You know, these are just a few tips. You know, there's so many things women can do. You know, creating a career blueprint is also very important. So getting the clarity of where you want to go in your career, and now creating a blueprint or a map, you know, with time frame, with the things you need to do to get you from the point where you are now to point from A to B, and filling in between, you know, with either training or networking or personal branding. All these things come into place to make you stand out from the crowd and improve your chances of being recommended for promotion and accelerate you up the ladder faster.
Amazing. So still talking about careers.
Yes.
At what point will you know it's time to switch careers?
Oh my goodness.
That's why I had to pause before asking.
At what time will you know? So if you have gone through, say, my Heels and Ladders training. Heels and Ladders is the platform under which I mentor female professionals. We do something called clarity and identification of core values. So clarity is like just what the word says, being clear about your career path. And then core values are things that are of intrinsic importance to your well-being. So for some people, that core values can be flexibility, can be family, it can be spirituality, it can be excellence. These are just a few. So we do some exercises that make you understand. It's almost like discovering who you are. So when you discover who you are, you can now analyze yourself and your current role. and see those things that are important to me in life, am I getting them in the job where I am? Are my core values aligned with the circumstances of my current employment? Because if you don't align your your goals or your current circumstances with your core values, you begin to feel frustration. You understand? You're unhappy in the career. You're going nowhere. You go anywhere the wind blows you. The next, shiny new toy, you want to have it. So it's important to do some type of introspection into who you are, what you really want, and then do the analysis with where you are currently, and then you'll be able to identify whether you've outgrown where you are, or whether you now know you've taken enough from where you are, in terms of maybe the training, the experience, the networking, and it's time to move on. But only you will know when that point is.
Okay, so I now know it's time for me to move on.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
What is the best way to go about it?
Knowledge. So I always tell people you must gather as much knowledge as you can before you take that step. So yes, you've decided you want to move, but where do you want to move to? That's the first question. What is it about where you are now that isn't fulfilling your goals for yourself? And then where can you get it? So you must have a destination in place. I always say that if you don't know where you're going, how can you get there? It's the destination of where you want. I want to work in a Fortune 500 company. I want to become the CEO of the next big company, or I want to be the managing partner of my law firm, or I want to enter into the UN, or I want to become a senior advocate of Nigeria. All these are goals. So having identified that this is what you want, then you map out the plan of how to do it. So again, knowledge. What do I need? Do I need to train? Do I need a master's abroad? Do I need some certification? Do I need to find out who knows X, Y, Z? What resources do you need? So don't just move blindly. Don't just put in your letter blindly. You must have a plan. There must be a proper exit strategy for where you are, with a mapped out and timelines. Any goal, your goals must be smart. Any goal that doesn't have a timeline, it's just a dream.
Oh, okay. I agree with that, and we'll talk more about it after the break.
Wonderful.
We will go on a quick break now. Please stay with us. You are still watching Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. And so far, we've been discussing business and career growth with our guest, Chinyere Okorocha. So what common errors do you see professionals or even business people make in their career or business?
Okay, so particularly in reference to women, the errors are the biggest one I see women making is that horrible thing called imposter syndrome.
That horrible thing.
Yes, the imposter syndrome of thinking or feeling, having that voice in your head that tells you that you're not good enough. And sometimes it cripples you, so that the actions you're meant to take in your career or in business, you don't take them. You second guess yourself every step of the way. And I'm told men suffer from it, too, but you don't really see it because it is a men's world. So my advice to women is that you have to tackle it head on. And one of the ways that I have used is to keep what I call a victory log.
What's a victory log?
A victory log is basically a journal where you write all your victories. Anything you've done that, that is positive, that has impacted people, clients, family, friends, anything, you put it in there. And when you're feeling like you're not good enough, you bring it out and you said, I did this. I was able to raise $100 million loan or whatever from my clients, you know, or I was able to, you know, think of some positive things. And it can be little things. But what it does is it boosts your character, it boosts you, it motivates you to want to do more. And it makes you step out of your comfort zone. And that takes me to the second one. A lot of women like to play in the comfort zone. But I can tell you for free, nothing happens in the comfort zone. You need to get comfortable with discomfort in order to succeed in business and in your career. You know, I recently, the first quarter of the year was so busy for me. I had so many engagements, client meetings, you know, family, because family is a core value to me. I like to make sure that my family is okay. So immediately after the first quarter, you know, I had this event that I organized for the Nigeria Bar Association Women's Forum. It was a big event, you know, March was all Women's Month anyway. You know, and I took off. I just needed to shut down. So that takes me to the third point. You have to also know that your health matters, that you need to listen to your body such that when you need to shut down, you actually shut down. But a lot of us, you know, we keep going. Your body is telling you that you should take a break and you ignore it. And that leads to burnout. So that's 3. There's so many more.
I know that there will be so many.
You know, but in the interest of time,
we'll
let's
just
leave it at 3. At 3, yes.
Okay, so let's talk about mentorship. I know that's your thing. But why is it important for female professionals to seek mentorship?
Oh, it's absolutely important because when I was growing up, early on in my career, I didn't have a mentor per se. I had someone, a role model, who till today I've never spoken to her. She was a lawyer and I just loved the way she looked. She was intelligent, she was smart, you know, and I just wanted to emulate her, you know. And so it's important that we have role models, people who have been on the route we want to take, who can tell us where all the valleys are and the hills, you know, so that, you know, the bumps, you know, so that's what mentorship does. It's somebody who can, you know, kind of help guide you on your career and make sure that you don't make the mistakes that they made. There's a common adage that says that the best ideas are always someone else's. And I'm an IP lawyer, so I shouldn't be saying this, right? You know, but I say it in the sense that it's good to emulate the good parts of people who have been on the path that you want to go to. But don't forget yourself in the process. You must remain your authentic self. So you take the good parts of what they're teaching you, what the mentor has to offer, the advice from experience, which is important, but also personalize it to help you on your own career journey.
Interesting. Very quickly, before I let you go, so what's the best way to approach a potential mentor?
That's a really good question. You know, recently on LinkedIn, a young lawyer reached out to me and he said, "Hello, Ma, I'm so happy to connect. Please let me know if there's any research I can help you with in the future. I would love to remain connected in this space." I thought that was excellent. You see, the problem is most mentees come to you wanting to take. They don't come from the place of giving or providing value because they don't recognize that they have value to bring. So that young man, it was actually a man. I don't actually mentor men, but you know, he endeared himself to me. He came from a position of providing value. And I always say that there's always something you can bring to the table. So come from a point of giving rather than taking. And then also recognize that the would-be mentors are only one person. That's even the reason why I started Hills and Ladders, because I got so many requests from so many women that wanted to be mentored. And I thought I needed to do it in a structured way that can cater for many people at the same time. Because at the end of the day, your mentor is only one person and she has a life. She can only give you so much time in any one day. But if you could do it sort of in a group way, you can reach more people and impact more people. So the answer to your question is come from a place of providing value. And I'm sure you will endear yourself to a would-be mentor.
I'm sure. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
I've had a great time. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. This is how far we can go on this episode of Ladies Talking Business. Don't forget to follow us on Plus TV Africa Lifestyle on YouTube to catch up with our programs. I am Morimi Akon. See you next time.
For a lot of people, the Nigerian dream is to leave the country onto greener pastures. But the irony is the treacherous experiences they have to face to get to these so-called greener pastures. Just like the stories of Azu and many who were tricked into what they thought was a better life, in fact, turns out to be the worst experience.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
For sufficient wealth creation, apart from choosing the right investment, you also have to give your investment sufficient time to grow. You need to maximize the benefit of compounding by investing as early in life as possible. Now, early starters have the opportunity to stay invested longer, which makes it easier for them to reach various financial goals. Now, the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, had said that the federal government is creating wealth through infrastructure development, which provides jobs and market for goods and services. This is also, as the Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed said, infrastructural development in the country has been made possible by adequate funding and increased budgetary allocations to the Ministry of Works, which climbed from about 18 billion naira in 2015 to over 500 billion naira this year. We will focus on wealth creation and investment on the show today. Welcome to Business Insight and Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye. Welcome back. Patrick Ilodianya is the CEO and Managing Director of SFS Capital. He is keen about speaking about how people can start your investment journey with ease. Well, Patrick is an investment expert and he is passionate about expanding the investment narrative to ordinary people, not just businesses. Welcome to Business Insight, Patrick.
Thanks a lot, Justin.
Yeah, let's just dive straight into it. Now, oftentimes people talk about multiple streams of income, and when wealth creation is being talked about, why is it necessary that one has a multiple stream?
Thanks a lot, and thanks for having me here. Multiple streams of income is very, very important for a lot of reasons. Having just one stream is extremely risky. Like in everything in life, you should have options, because the truth is that the only thing constant in life is change. If you just have one stream, that stream can dry up. So you should always strive to have 2, 3, 4 streams, as much as is possible and likely. And also, many times when you have more streams of income, it's better, because when one income stream is doing well, the other one is doing badly. When one is doing badly, the other one is doing well. So net, no matter the situation or circumstance, you're more likely to suffer less risk when you have multiple streams of income. And also, there's a profitability. If you have multiple streams of income, you will learn continuously, and some will do well. You might choose to ditch one and go to the other one continuously. So, I mean, there are just so many advantages. It's an imperative for good financial health to always have multiple streams of income.
But it sounds too good to be true, and quite easily said than done, because we have just 24 hours in a day. We can't even extend it. Some people might even require like 30 hours to complete everything they need to do in one day. But with multiple streams of income, how is it possible to manage time and go around each of them and be profitable in them?
The truth is that everything in this life is hard, and there's really no pain, no gain. So if you need to have multiple streams of income, you have to put in the work. And everything, like Nigeria, you have to manage your resources. Time is the most important resource. You have to be able to allocate it no matter what. So if you allow one stream of income take 100% of your time, that's a problem. You have to diversify your time. And I mean, so it's a deliberate effort, and it is painful. It's not easy. So if you have a situation where one type of income, maybe your employment, takes 100% of your time and does not allow you to develop others, then you should quickly start considering changing to something else or saving aggressively with that one type of income. But either way, your life goal should be to achieve multiple streams of income. But everything in life will try to prevent you from achieving that.
Okay, fine. But some people would say that they're not really business savvy. They're not really into trading, and they're just used to the regular, maybe 9-to-5 kind of job. How do you sell this multiple stream of income to them?
You're right. Most people, immediately they leave school, I'll start from there, immediately they leave school should actually do a 9-to-5. But the truth is that no matter what you're doing, you should also consider that your 9-to-5 should not end from 9-to-5. If your first stream of income is 9-to-5, from 5 downwards, you should be focusing more on your alternative streams of income. You should either, depending on what you're doing at that point in time, you might decide that your best chance is to enhance your existing job. Your best chance is to actually do something else. It might be to do an exam, it might be to do a professional exam, it might be to start studying trading, it might be to start studying or reading something else. But either ways, yes, if you think you should do 9-to-5, it's perfect. But whatever you do, you should have to create time to read and develop yourself in other ways. If you want to do investing, the standard investing, you talk of stocks, bonds, forex, and there are just so many. But you have to put in the time.
All right. Well, we'll talk about these investment opportunities, but let's really get a clear, maybe some sort of definition, to this topic we are discussing today, which is wealth creation. How do you break it down to the average man on the street? How do you create wealth?
First, the first step to creating wealth is accumulating the wealth, because the truth is that many times people get wealth in tiny bits. So first, you have to, it's not impossible, but it's difficult to create wealth from absolute zero. But what is more likely is that no matter what you do, you have to preserve a part of anything you earn. And when you do that continuously, the power of compounding helps you. When you reach a certain threshold, you can now choose what to do with it. So for most of us, it's difficult to create wealth without having some kind of a capital at the time. But for some people, it's possible. When you do not have a capital, but that's business, you now find innovative ways to extract the margin. But for most of us, you have to gradually save up to that point.
So let's talk about investments now, which is basically what you do. You're with SFS Capital, which basically is about investment financing and all of that. But the opportunities abound, really, when we talk about investment. There's real estate, there's fintech, there's even the creative industry. Right now, a lot of people talk about Bitcoin and NFTs and all of that. But what are the factors that one should consider in making the right choice of investment?
Okay, I'll answer that question, but I'll modify it a bit.
Okay.
Because usually people do, there's investment and there's your business. So typically investment requires less time, and your business requires basically all your time. When you are doing investment, it's always good to dedicate the time and do your research, but also leverage on a lot of other experts. So it's very, very important to commit yourself to researching the investments very well. In real estate, in equities, in bonds, basically.
Okay, still talking about investment, a whole lot of people believe that for you to invest, you need to have a lot of money is kept somewhere that you aren't actually using at that particular time. Do you need so much to start up an investment plan?
For most investments today, you don't really need that much. For most investments, you can start it off with as little as 5,000 naira, some 500 naira. But the important thing is that you have to start somewhere. And the important thing is that no matter what you earn or no matter what you have, it's imperative to put some aside. If you earn 100, if you are not deliberate about it, you spend 130. But if you are deliberate about it, you will always spend 80 and keep 20 for investments, no matter what. So yes, no matter where you start, you can start small and gradually grow up and sort of scale it up. Okay,
so if we talk of investment now, what do you really advise? For instance, I'm an entrepreneur. I just started a small business, and I'm yet to break even, and I'm still trying to meet my expenses and all of that, and I don't really have any profit yet. I'm barely, paying my workers' salary and all that. How do I not invest in such scenario?
Yes, the truth is that it's never easy, but you look at it like diversification. If you can eat, because no matter what you're doing, at some point you eat, at some point you cut your hair, at some point you do some certain things. So the way you allocate some expenses and you allocate things to different things, you must allocate some portion to saving or quote unquote sharpening the saw, because it's a form of diversification. So no matter what you do, it's the same way, it's the same argument you say for Nigeria, that no matter how we are, we should be saving something small. Because there are very few people that come to the point where their expenses are less than their income. It hardly happens. So just take your investment portion as part of your expenses, no matter what happens. If you eat 3 times a day and you need to eat twice, then once you should remove 1 meal and invest, because that is your plan B.
But could there be a thing like an investment plan going bad? I asked this because in the early 2000s, a whole lot of people were running towards the capital market. People were investing in equities and all of that. But after a while, the profits of some of those businesses were not really profitable anymore, so to speak. And it was as though the capital market was not doing well, like investing in stock was not as profitable as it were. But looking at where we are right now and that particular time, would you really say it is wise to invest in the capital market?
That's why many times it's very good to do a lot of research in investments. I'll start with capital market equities. The truth is that equities have a lot of risk. And before somebody goes into equities, he should do his research historically and the forecast. But people go into equities with the wrong expectation. Equities are the kind of things you do for a 5-6 year time horizon, and you keep it for a long time. Well, it depends. Personally, I have very, very few equities. And that is simply because I think in a country like Nigeria, having equities, there are too many things that affect the price of equities. Even the companies themselves don't affect the price of equities. What CBN does, the fiscal policy, there are just so many things that affect the price of equities, apart from even the intrinsic value of the equities itself. So I personally avoid local equities. International equities is something totally different.
Okay.
But local equities, I think, is too high risk. And even in SFS, at the early stages, we decided to avoid trading a lot of local equities because it was just too unpredictable. No matter how you even explain to somebody that it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, net, we discover the truth, which is that nobody likes losing money. And no matter what happens, you can, if somebody brings in 100 and he has 50, there is no explanation you give him for that reason. So that's why we avoided equities. So if you have a high risk appetite, go and do equities. If you don't, avoid equities. There are other ways to enhance your wealth without things like especially local equities.
All right. Okay, we'll come talk some more. You talked about avoiding local equities. So invariably you're saying that we should patronize international equities. Is that what you're saying in other words?
It's difficult to do that.
Okay.
But if you have the opportunity to do, I will prefer international equities to local equities at this stage, because this might change. For instance, at the turn of 2023, if the elections go fantastic, everything goes well, then at that time, the appetite for local equities might change. But as now, as I stand today, there is no logical reason that I think that local equities will do significantly well, or you don't have a strong risk of losing value if you launch into local equities right now.
All right. You're still watching Business Insight and Plus TV Africa. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll come talk some more about wealth creation and, of course, the best investment plan for you. Do join us again. Welcome back. It's still Business Insight and Plus TV Africa, and we still have Patrick Ilodian, Managing Director and CEO of SFS Capital, and we've been looking at wealth creation and making the right investment. Just before we went on break, you were dissuading people from local investment, but let's talk about alternative sources or forms that you could go. You talked about real estate. People would always say that real estate is a good deal anytime. Is that always the case?
Most of the case. Because, for instance, SFS Capital, we run 2 real estate investment trusts in Nigeria. There are only 3, and we run 2, and they're quoted on Nigerian Stock Exchange. And we've done that for many years. So we know quite a bit about real estate. Real estate is good, is fantastic, but real estate has different branches, and they all have different qualities. Land. In the last 10 years, land has been almost guaranteed. It's difficult to lose money in land, but the problem is that it also comes with its own risks. Is that it's easier to be defrauded in land. It's easier for people to
Getting
collect
the right
your
sources,
land,
yes.
getting the right sources.
Land grabbers everywhere.
Yes, yes. So, excluding forex, land has probably been the best investment in Nigeria over the last 10 years. Then you now go to actual houses. Then you now go to things like maybe bonds.
But bonds, it's actually a very viable one. But how come it's not really, when I say popular, maybe among the low-income earners, how come they don't really patronize that particular financing option?
Because first and foremost, bonds is relatively newer than most products in Nigeria. And second, bonds are a little bit more complicated to understand.
How so?
Because people don't understand fixed deposits. Go to the bank, place money.
For a specific time.
For a specific time, you get 10% interest rate, and that's
Did they even get 10 this time?
Of course, you get 10. Yes, you can get 10.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but on bonds, they need to be more complicated, and there's a lot of other formulas.
Okay.
I mean, I was around when the bond market was formed in Nigeria, and we know how all the work it took to even get people to understand bonds, to start trading bonds. And don't forget, for most of the bonds, the minimum volume is like 100 million. So it's not something that a retail person will do.
Oh, wow.
But bonds can be very, very profitable because first and foremost, you have a fixed fee. One of the first bonds issued in Nigeria was at 17%. And bonds are tax-free in Nigeria.
Wow.
Even T-bills are not tax-free, but bonds are tax-free in Nigeria. Yes. So there are just so many beautiful things about bonds that people do not know. But of course, there's a small disadvantage in that if you want to go in and out of a bond too often, you can actually lose money in a bond. So, but the bond is the kind of thing you just buy and hold and wait for some time, especially when you're in Nigeria. But yes, I think bonds is something that more people should actually invest in Nigeria, especially now, because bonds are increasing in value. For a new bond investor, this is actually a perfect time to enter bonds. But bonds is for patient money. It's not for money you want to go in and come out. I mean,
10 years, 20 years, 30 years?
Yes, it's not even that long, maybe 2 years, 3 years. Just money you can afford to forget for like 2-3 years. Because the bond prices go up and down. But all things being equal, if you have good advice and watch the market, you would probably do better in bonds than in normal, in all the other fixed income instruments.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about a bit of an advice right now. For instance, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a small business, and I've been able to make some profit of 5 million naira. And a banker comes to me and says, let's hold this fund for you. You can put it in a time deposit. And in my little sense of accounting and financing, I know that it is not so profitable to put 5 million in the bank for 1 month, 6 months, because at the end of the day, whatever you're getting is really, really nothing to write home about. What would you really advise for people who don't really have so much, and maybe they have like 1 million to 5 million and they really want to invest? What's the right way to go?
Okay, it depends. I'll ask the question of how long are you willing to leave the money for?
Say for an average of 6 to 1 year. 6 months to 1 year.
6 months to 1 year.
Yeah.
If it is, because that's actually short term.
Short term.
If you need the money in 6 months to 1 year, then your best bet is to do a mutual fund.
A mutual fund.
Like SFS fund or SFS fixed income fund.
Okay.
Because for some mutual funds, you can invest and they invest in the bonds for you. But the truth is that when you want the money, they give you back the money.
Okay.
So if your time frame is that short, your best bet is a mutual fund. There are many fixed income mutual funds that give you up to 10%, 15% in Nigeria for that time frame. You won't get that in a savings account. You won't get that in a fixed deposit. So mutual funds like SFS fund, I mean, are probably your best bet for that type of a short tenor. If you could go longer, I might say land or something else.
Okay, fine. As we round off from this discussion now, let's talk about financial advice. And a lot of people, they don't really know the right way to go. And there are lots of people who come to them and say you can just fix money here, you can do some sort of insurance funds and all of that. For instance, I walk up to you. You are an investment expert. You work with SFS, and what are the options would you give to me? For instance, I come to you and I tell you that I want to invest. As an investment banker, an investment expert, what advice would you give me in terms of the right way to go, in terms of the right investment plan, and of course the ceiling I can go for each particular investment?
Okay, that's a very, very deep question. I can speak about that for 10 hours, but I'll try and summarize it.
Okay.
I think each person should, it depends on where you are. Somebody who has 100 naira and somebody who needs 100 naira to survive will definitely have a different investment plan than somebody who has 1,000 naira but needs just 100 naira to survive. Either ways, your investment plan depends on what your mandatory expenditure for the next 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's always best to diversify. Do a bit of most of the income stream. Do a bit of real estate. Do a bit of mutual funds. Do a bit of FX. Do a bit of different things. But the truth is that many times people don't have that luxury. If you have a large pool, diversify. Depending on your age, you should take more risk if you're younger, less risk if you're older. Okay. So yes, just diversify and do a lot. But if you have not gotten to the point where you have a large cash up fund, aggressively start putting it together by saving in some of the mutual funds. And when you're looking for a mutual fund, I mean, there are a lot of beautiful mutual funds with different organizations in Nigeria. Just look for a regulated organization, maybe regulated by SEC, and a rated organization. Once you find that and the rating now is above A, you probably get reasonably good advice. So, but for some reason, I discovered that a lot of people these days do not value credit ratings. Credit ratings are very, very good sometimes. So it's not guaranteed, but it's a good indicator that whoever it is that has a credit rating has gone through an extensive test by a third party and has come out positive. And somebody else is standing beside that rating and saying, this guy knows what he's doing. Yes.
Okay, as we round off now, I want you to reach out to a particular CEO, a particular entrepreneur who is actually struggling and they've not been able to break beyond a particular boundary as per income level, and they are looking for the right way to go, because over time they have been working on plowing back their profits, but they are thinking of how best they can move from profit margin of 5 million to maybe 10 million to double my profit in the next 2 to 3 years. What would your advice for that person be?
Okay, the truth is that for most people, the truth is that the best advice is just never quit. Many people assume that you walk in there and instantly everything works out well. For most people, it never happens like that. For most people, 99% of the time, things look terribly bad, and just that 1% you break through. So the most important thing is to not quit. So just keep on keeping on. Because many times that 1% might just be 24 hours away, but you just never know. You just never know. It's just like when they say that you should know that the truth is that 80% of your time will be wasted and 20% will be productive. But many times you don't know which one is, you don't know which 80% will be wasted, you don't know which 20%. So you just have to do the whole 100%. But yeah, just keep on keeping on, and that time will come.
All right, thank you so much for those insights that you have given. I'm sure 1 or 2 people, would have their business revived from the words of wisdom that you have impacted today. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure. We have been speaking with Patrick Ilodianya. He is the Managing Director and CEO of SFS Capital. He joined us today to look at wealth creation and best ways you can do to get the right investment plan. As we wrap up on the show today, we'll leave you with useful tips on how to write an informal proposal. And that's the size of the show for this week. I am Justin Akadonye. See you again next time. Bye for now.
Writing an informal proposal. The thought of writing a proposal overwhelms many people. But the task does not have to be daunting. Informal proposals are written when people need to ask permission to make a purchase, undertake a project, or write a paper. This type of proposal is a way of persuasively putting forth an idea and asking for action to be taken on that idea. When writing a proposal, consider who will read the proposal and what that person may or may not already know about what you are proposing. Follow these steps when writing a proposal. 1. State your purpose. Do this clearly and concisely so that the reader knows immediately why you are writing. 2. Give some background information. Explain why you are proposing your suggestion so that the reader has a better understanding of the problem. 3. State a solution to the problem. This is where you give specifics about your suggestion. 4. Show costs. Lay out any costs that will be involved. 5. Conclusion. Wrap it up by restating the problem and the proposed solution.
Good evening. I am Maureen Menong-Ezigwe, and this is the news update. At the expiration of the 72-hour ultimatum to the three anti-graft agencies to arrest, interrogate, and persecute the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, for alleged fleecing of public funds, the Minister of State, Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, has dragged them to court. He also joined Atiku in the suit dated 20th January 2023. On Monday, the spokesman of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu presidential campaign petitioned the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, and the Code of Conduct Bureau, the CCB, accusing the PDP candidate of 4 major infractions. In a suit filed on Friday at an Abuja Federal High Court against the CCB, ICPC, and EFCC, the minister prayed the court to make a mandatory order compelling the anti-graft agencies to invite and/or arrest, investigate, and, if found wanting, compel Atiku to make himself available to the anti-graft agencies. The All Progressive Congress in Osun State has enjoined members of the party to embark on a 7-day fasting and prayer session, starting from Friday, to seek God's favor as the Election Petition Tribunal hearing the party's petition delivers its judgment. The Justice Tese Kume-led panel had concluded sitting on the petitions filed before it by ex-Governor Adegboyega Oyetola and the APC challenging the victory of Senator Ademola Adeleke of the People's Democratic Party in the July 16, 2022 governorship poll. The panel is expected to deliver its judgment before the end of January. The Federal High Court in Abuja on Friday vacated an interim forfeiture of 40 landed properties granted against the former Deputy Senate President, Senator Ike Ekweremadu. Justice Inyang Eko vacated the order following a discovery that the forfeiture order was fraudulently obtained by the federal government against the properties. The judge, while lifting the order, held that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, which obtained the order on behalf of the federal government, concealed information that led to granting it. Specifically, Justice Eko said that EFCC, which was fully aware that Ekweremadu was in custody in the United Kingdom, failed to make the vital information available to the court. With his detention in London, the judge agreed with Chief Adegboyega Awolomo, SAN, counsel to Ekweremadu, that there was no way the former Deputy Senate President would be opportune to defend his ownership of the disputed properties. Justice Eko had, on November 4th last year, issued the interim forfeiture order in favor of the federal government following an ex parte application brought before him by the EFCC. While commuters in Lagos are still groaning over the lingering fuel scarcity, which has resulted in long queues at various filling stations, as well as hike in transport fares. Plus TV News correspondent Emmanuel Olibobokun feels the pulse of residents and what they have to go through to get the product.
The long fuel queues have been persistent since late 2022. Alarmingly, the situation has not abated this new year. With the month of January in its third week, one thing is visible: the vehicular traffic which the state is known for. However, residents are not happy with the state of affairs as the fuel crisis is seemingly unending.
I'm very, very sad and not happy about this fuel scarcity. Since last week, yesterday I came here, I was that NSS, but I spent 5 hours before I got this fuel. I don't know what is happening with this fuel, which I'm not happy. And today again, I came again. Since 7 o'clock, I've been in queue. And now it's almost 5 hours. I've not gotten. So what is happening with Nigeria?
The queue over 3 hours now. They'll be on queue. So how will I feel where? So something that's supposed to enter under 10 minutes and I'm on queue over 3 hours. So I'm not okay at all.
Fuel scarcity is too much. I've been going around like now. I stay at Aja, but this is where I'm coming to buy for because